Chapter 770. Jiangli pressed his hand on his body. Countless vital qi came from the 10,000 worlds and condensed into runes. Hua Zhuxian controlled these runes to form the laws themselves. He was very careful, afraid that the runes would explode if anything went wrong and he would be blasted into nothingness. However, he could not condense runes as easily as Jiangli. In truth, Jiangli could condense runes to form laws and casually use them. He wasn't afraid of explosions at all, because one's constitution determined everything. Jiangli had fused the bloodlines of primordial Heavenly King, Heavenly Father, Child of Destiny, and Child of Permitha together, turning them into limitless bloodlines with limitless possibilities of transformation. His control of energy wasn't on the same level as Hua Zhuxian. Hua Zhuxian's control of energy was very poor. He was like a master chef, cooking the simplest egg-fried rice. How could he not be able to do it? Infinite body and infinite bloodlines control of energy was basically the best in the world. No matter what laws he formed, they wouldn't explode. This was why he dared to break everything and not cultivate God's spark. For ordinary people, there was a fixed number of great Tao laws. An extra rune would cause them to completely explode, leaving not even their bones behind. Actually, it was already a great opportunity for Hua Zhuxian to raise immortal slaying Tao to the king of great Tao. If not, he would have died. But with Jiangli, everything became simple. Jiangli slapped and countless energy gathered, allowing Hua Zhuxian to cultivate the king of the great path. Amazing, amazing! Hua Zhuxian, whose strength had increased by at least 10 times, stood up. Jiangli, I truly admire you now. Being strong is nothing. There are many strong people in this world, but those with great potential are few and far between. You are one of those people with unparalleled potential. You must be joking. Where did my potential come from? Jiangli smiled. Even Fire God Old Ancestor couldn't handle my king of great Tao energy gathering. You can do it. Isn't that great potential? You will at least be a great emperor in the future. You might even have the potential to surpass a great emperor. It's just a matter of time. Hua Zhuxian said, I owe you a huge favor today and I've seen your ability. From now on, I'm a member of the human world. I can give up my identity as a member of the Immortal Tower's star field and work hard for the rise and fall of the human world. Good, congratulations, we have another expert in the human realm. Jiangli knew that Hua Zhuxian was sincere, but the human realm was too beneficial to him. To be honest, if he wanted to cultivate celestial slashing and celestial slaying to the king of the great path in the future, Jiangli would be even more important. This was because his current advancement was mainly due to the Fire God Great Ancestor's training. However, the Fire God Great Ancestor could not help him at all, so he could only rely on Jiangli. Jiangli's means far surpassed that of the Fire God's ancestor. Of course, if Jiangli fought with the Fire God, he might not be able to kill the Fire God. However, his various auxiliary means were not on the same level. His infinite bloodline was even more noble than a great emperor. Apart from that, Jiangli's cultivation was skyrocketing every day. When he cultivated the Void Law to 100 million runes, his cultivation would completely surpass the Fire God. Then, he would perfect it one by one. When all the laws reached 100 million runes, he would definitely be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with a heavenly lord. Of course, this was not his goal. His goal was to pull the Destiny Great Path down from the King of the Great Path. At that time, the Infinite Great Path would no longer be the King of the Great Path Kings. He would be the #1 Tao in the world. He would break the destiny, jump out of the cycle of life, and strive for infinite great path. His potential might even surpass that of Yuanshi. Of course, it was just potential. It was his future achievement, not his true strength. Now, Jiangli's potential surpassed that of a great emperor. However, if he encountered a great emperor, he would still die. With his true strength, He could not fight a real great emperor unless he used the power of a great emperor. However, if he pulled the destiny great path to the top, it would mean that between heaven and earth, fate was no longer the ruler. Infinity was the ruler. Unknowingly, countless variables would be affected. This ability to break the destiny would bring him limitless merits. Unknowingly, countless powers would descend. At that time, he would truly have great achievements. Perhaps he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with a great emperor. To be specific, he would have to cultivate the 101 nomological laws of the infinite great path. It was a very simple rule, but it didn't just contain a single magical law. It had broken through a possibility, opened up a new cultivation path, and showed everyone that it was possible to cultivate in such a way. In the instant that he succeeded in his cultivation, his fate was no longer fate. However, this kind of cultivation was extremely difficult. The road was long and he had to walk it. If he made up his mind not to cultivate godhood, he would absolutely not cultivate it. He would not cultivate a second great path either. He would walk the infinite great path until he died. Even if he could not walk it, he would let his successor walk it. His path was destined to be different. It was destined to be extraordinary. Let's go to the deeper divine halls. Some of the treasures in the divine halls have been taken away. Some of the divine halls are empty. There were originally no great treasures. The fire god studied the ruins for a long time, but he did not find anything. I sneaked in and obtained some ancient memories. I know where the central area of the divine halls is. It is a place called the ancient dark area. That place is pure darkness, eternal darkness. Even the light of the light world cannot illuminate that place. It can devour all light. It is not a black hole, but a place even more terrifying than the black hole of the universe that can devour God. The true body of the immortal magic lamp is there. Hua Juxian told him everything he knew. He did not hide anything. I am also calculating the location of the true body of the immortal magic lamp. I want to take this treasure. Although it is not as good as the good fortune jade disc, it is comparable to the heaven-defying divine act. It is also a treasure that can suppress a great universe. Jiang Li calculated over and over again, with my current strength, even if I use all of the power in the human world, I still won't be able to collect it. Therefore, I'm thinking of using its wisdom to do things. Every time you find a flame of wisdom, you'll be able to sense the main body of the divine lamp and have it calculate for you once. However, this is just a small matter. I need the main body to calculate for me once. With this calculation, I'll be able to refine many of the laws in my body into 100 million runes. Just now, I felt that the immortal magic lamp has become stronger. Even if the jade disc of good fortune wanted to calculate, it would need a lot of sacrifices to give it the power to calculate. However, the immortal magic lamp doesn't need it at all. From this, I can conclude that after the explosion of the eternal ancient well, the immortal magic lamp has become even more mysterious. It has passed the tribulation and become an invincible existence. If that is the case, then obtaining the immortal magic lamp does not mean we have a real foundation? Luo Feng asked. How can it be so easy? Jiang Li coldly sneered again and again. What I've guessed is something that countless ancient almighty elders, great emperors, and even empyreans have guessed as well. So, why hasn't anyone managed to obtain it up until now? That can only mean that first, the lucky chance hasn't arrived, and second, I don't have the strength. What virtue or ability do I have that I can obtain the undying god lamp? That's true. Hua Juxian nodded. But I heard that the myriad realms are changing. The will of the myriad realms' celestial sphere is gradually spreading. There will be great changes in the world. The immortal magic lamp might make a comeback. This ancient star region might also change. That's not bad. The myriad realms' celestial sphere's explosive power will affect the balance of the third dimension universe. It will have a great impact on the myriad realms. Jiangli said, Now let me calculate and see how we can go. Where are the opportunities and the infinite mysteries of heaven? He flicked his fingers. A strange device appeared in front of him. There was something like a compass below it. This was pure power, or rather, a spiritual force. This spiritual force was formed from the infinite mysteries of heaven. The infinite mysteries of heaven evolved everything and calculated opportunities. It contained the profundities of the great Tao of destiny and the bloodline of the Son of Destiny. Even Luo Feng and Hua, Immortal Slayer, felt dizzy. This instrument was a technique, the newest product of the infinite godly fist. It was called Infinite Heaven's Secrets, and had no offensive capabilities. It was specifically used to calculate the most powerful techniques of all sorts of powerful existences. It could also be called a magic treasure. In the vast world, all living beings cannot transcend. Infinite opportunities are bestowed upon you. From now on, it will be different. Jiang Li's heart seemed to be connected with the hearts of all living beings in the myriad realms. He had no heart, so he could be of one heart. But there was a limit. They couldn't be of one heart. Suddenly, many palaces in the immortal magic lamp appeared in Jiang Li's infinite mysteries of heaven. Jiang Li's body began to wriggle as if accumulating endless information. Beep, 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 an intense light appeared in the device. Good, this is the place. There are opportunities for us. More accurately, there are opportunities for you, Hua Zhuxian. Luo Feng and I don't have any. We can only rely on you to do some things and gain some benefits. Jiang Li sighed. The world was unpredictable. Hua Zhuxian was fated with Immortal Slayer, and Immortal Slayer was an important figure in the ruins of the immortal magic lamp. This way, Jiang Li and Luo Feng could rely on him to gain benefits. In fact, it was the same. There were many treasures that weren't useful even if you were strong. Instead, you would fall into a trap. Only the fated could obtain them. Luo Feng and Hua Zhuxian flew up with him. But Jiang Li waved his hand and protected Hua Zhuxian in the middle. He was afraid that if he was killed, the fate would disappear. This kind of stealing fate was often done by people. Swish, swish, swish. The three of them crossed almost infinitely. Who knew how many ruins were left behind? Then they saw an ancient palace. This palace had the aura of a king. Clearly, it wasn't an ordinary palace. This palace. Jiang Li was about to say that there was a great opportunity in this palace, but he froze. Because there were two people standing in front of the palace. More accurately, they were two gods. Luo Feng was shocked. Heavenly God, desolate God. Chapter 771. Two gods. One of them was wearing a navy blue robe. It was as if the sky was the color of pure blue. That was the number one of the 108 god generals in the Immortal Tower, the Empyrean. The Empyrean was extremely strong. Everyone knew that he had cultivated to the Sky Lord realm. However, no one knew exactly how many levels he was. Some said that he was infinitely close to becoming a great emperor. Some said that he had just stepped into the Sky Lord realm. No one knew whether it was true or false. Moreover, there were very few records of the Empyrean fighting. Every time he fought, it was top secret. However, to have the name Empyrean, he was definitely not ordinary. As for the desolate god, although Jiang Li had never seen him before, he was already very familiar with him. This was because he needed the desolate god talisman to enter the chaos prison. Apart from that, he had also sold a positive thunder talisman to the desolate god in exchange for a chance to calculate the yang side of the good fortune jade disc. Of course, this chance had already been used. This was a trade between him and the desolate god. He was already very familiar with the unique aura of the desolate god. The desolate god also had the cultivation of a Sky Lord. This person was also unfathomable. However, he was not ranked number 2. Rumor had it that there was another god general who was on par with the Empyrean. It was a woman called the Mother God. However, the Mother God was even more mysterious. She had never appeared before. Some even suspected that she was the Mother God of the insect race. Now that the Mother God had not appeared, there was no need to care about it. Of course, the War God was also very strong. When Zhongli saw the Empyrean and the Desolate God, he was prepared to turn and leave. However, it was already too late. The Empyrean and the Desolate God were already staring at him. So it is the son of the celestial world, Luo Feng and Hua Zhu Xian. I can see that this person's cultivation is very strong. I have never seen such a strong potential before. If I am not wrong, you are the ruler of the human world, Zhongli? The Desolate God spoke. The Empyrean did not move. He just stared at Zhongli, giving him a huge pressure. Zhongli was indeed under a lot of pressure. The heavenly gods and the origami gave him a very unfriendly feeling. Now that the Immortal Tower's star field and the human world were enemies, the other side would definitely not show him any respect. This was a very normal thing. If they were to fight, Zhongli was still not a match for a celestial master. Although he had just condensed the Heartless Law to 100 million runes, he could only bully an ancestral god. The gap between a celestial master and an ancestral god could not be calculated. If he didn't use the power of a human emperor, he definitely wouldn't be a match for a heavenly venerable. Of course, it was also extremely difficult for ordinary Empyreans to want to kill him. However, the heavenly god and the desolate god were clearly not ordinary heavenly venerables. How can I be called the ruler of the human world? Zhongli asked. May I know what business the two of you have here? Is he hostile to me? If there is, then there's no need to beat around the bush. Just make your move. I want to see if the strength of our worldly great emperor is stronger, or if the strength of the two celestial venerables is stronger. We are not in charge of the battles against the human realm. The desolate god spoke with a smile that was not a smile. Moreover, we have done business before. In the end, you still recognized me. Zhongli smiled. He knew that his identity as Yi Jin couldn't be hidden for long, but it didn't matter. Now that it was exposed, it didn't matter. The Azure Supreme Tharch Corporation was already firmly in his control. Even the Wood God's Yi family couldn't be taken back. If the Yi family continued to cooperate with the human realm, then they would naturally be rolling in money. If they didn't cooperate, then the group's assets would definitely belong to the Limitless Group. Of course, Zhongli didn't care about these assets. When the time came, he could just return them to the Yi family. You and the Yi family are considered to be in an alliance of benefit. The desolate god said, It has nothing to do with me. I also do business with those powerful figures in the Chaos Prison. As long as the higher-ups don't order me to kill you, I can't be bothered to touch you or the human realm. As for the son of the immortal world, it seems that your position is even more miserable. I know that the great dream crown prince has reappeared and occupied the heavenly court. He has gathered a large number of sects and has already established his strength. He is waging war against the demon realm. The demon realm has been defeated again and again. Many evil devils from the underworld have also been captured. It seems that they are going to conduct a great sacrifice. Once the sacrifice succeeds, the halo of the son of the immortal world will be taken away. I know this. Desolate God, you were once from the immortal world. I have always wanted to restore the glory of the immortal world with you. This time I have a good chance. The heroic spirit of immortal execution Great Emperor is here. As long as we capture it, we can be the first to worship it and take control of the heavenly court. Luo Feng didn't panic at all. Haha, you want to subdue the heroic spirit of immortal execution Great Emperor? Let me tell you how terrifying this heroic spirit is. The heavenly god couldn't help but laugh dryly. Even if a great emperor comes, he can't subdue the heroic spirit of immortal execution Great Emperor. If we meet him, we will die. You can subdue the heroic spirit of a great emperor. With that strength, there is no need to trouble yourself. Just go to the immortal world and suppress the great dream crown prince. Sacrifice him. That would be much more convenient. Indeed, suppressing the heroic spirit of immortal execution great emperor is harder than defeating the great dream crown prince. Luo Feng didn't move. But everything depends on fate, not power. If power could overcome everything, then Yuanshi wouldn't have fallen. He would have directly conquered the myriad worlds. So you found your fortune? The heavenly god seemed interested in the son of the immortal world. Then I won't be known to outsiders. Luo Feng's tone was relaxed. Heavenly god, desolate god, we are going in to search for our fortune. What are you doing here? You want to enter this palace? The heavenly god smiled. It doesn't matter. Let's go in. Is there something strange about this palace? Luo Feng saw that the heavenly god's gaze was strange. He couldn't help but look at this palace that had the aura of a king. There's nothing strange. We are here to capture someone, the desolate god said. Desolation god said, this person is extremely powerful. You came just in time to help us catch him. He can be considered as your enemy. Recently, he has sought refuge with the great dream crown prince. They are old acquaintances. This person once caused a bloodbath in the Immortal Tower's star area. This time, he actually stole an important item from the Immortal Tower's star area. The two of us were sent by our superiors to chase this person, but he escaped repeatedly. Now, he is in the depths of this hall. Who is it? Luo Feng analyzed. He sided with the great dream crown prince, and you are needed to capture him. He must be a celestial master, and an extremely powerful one at that. He is also old acquaintances of the great dream crown prince. He should be a subject of the Soul Emperor, and he has a grudge against you. If my guess is correct, this person is Celestial Master Sleeping God, the disciple of the Soul Emperor. He is the most outstanding one, and has the potential to become a great emperor. That is why you, Heavenly God, are needed. Sleeping God. Jiangli had a flash of inspiration. He had sparred with the daughter of the Sleeping God and Flower God, Hua Zhuyan, in the chaotic prison. He knew how powerful the Sleeping God was. He had also inherited the teachings of the Soul Emperor. Not only that, he had created his own great Tao of sleep, which was unpredictable and mysterious. He was definitely not someone that ordinary people could compete with. Since he was the disciple of the Soul Emperor, he must have a close relationship with the great Dream Crown Prince. That's right. The Sleeping God is inside. The Desolate God said, Son of the Celestial Realm, how about you go and restrain him? The system has already issued a mission. Whoever can take back the item from the Sleeping God will be rewarded with 10 chances to calculate with the Good Fortune Jade Plate, or 2 chances to use the power of the Good Fortune Jade Plate to defeat anyone. What is so important? Jiang Li couldn't help but ask. If you are curious about it, you can enter the palace and ask the Sleeping God yourself. The Heavenly God looked around. I will only give you a hint. This item is related to the Good Fortune Jade Plate. If the Sleeping God steals it and it falls into the hands of the Great Dream Crown Prince, I'm afraid the Good Fortune Jade Plate will be shaken. When that happens, the consequences will be unimaginable. Your position as the Son of the Celestial Realm will definitely be lost. The Sleeping God is not someone that we can fight against. Jiang Li knew that these two people in front of him were scheming. It was definitely not a good idea to listen to them. Moreover, the Sleeping God had no enmity with him. It was only a word from the Heavenly God and the Desolate God that the Sleeping God was working with the Great Dream Crown Prince. He knew a little about the Sleeping God's great Tao of sleep. He wanted to meet this person and chat with him. The Sleeping God has also set up important chess pieces in the human world. What if I tell you that many of the higher-ups in the human world have become the Sleeping God's men? Moreover, he is secretly playing a game. As long as people enter a dream, they can receive his power in the dream. How about it? You can't stop him. The heavenly god seemed to be very familiar with the human world. He had long been observing the human world. Is that so? Jiang Li's mind moved. He had already contacted the human world. Dream Kite, start investigating the sleeping god. I have already started investigating. I found out that there is a popular game in the human world. After entering a dream, you can receive all kinds of martial arts from masters. These martial arts can be brought into reality. Dream Kite immediately started communicating with Jiang Li. Is this an online game? Jiang Li asked. It is not an online virtual game. It is a game in dreams. It is transmitted through dreams and sleep. As long as people want to play this game, as long as they sleep, they can enter that world to cultivate and receive guidance from masters. Dream Kite said, therefore we can't stop it. If it is an online virtual game, we can directly use the system to interfere. But this kind of transmission through dreams and sleep cannot be stopped. Not bad, not bad. This kind of method to invade the human world is really not bad. Jiang Li really couldn't find a way to interfere. The sleeping god spread his Tao through dreams and sleep. As long as it was a commoner, they could come into contact with the sleeping god in their sleep. They were his people, so how could he stop it? Looks like I really have to catch this person. Jiang Li said, this person has really invaded the human world. I will not let anyone who attacks the human world go. This person must be caught and judged by the human world. When that time comes, I will hold a public trial to judge a heavenly lord. I will let everyone know that the consequence of invading the human world is to be judged by the human world's laws. Alright, let's see what kind of power you have. The desolate god didn't dare to touch Jiang Li. On the contrary, he was looking forward to Jiang Li's attack, because he knew that Jiang Li could use the power of the emperor. Although the emperor was a trump card, this secret couldn't be kept for long. The desolate god and the heavenly god should know about it. Chapter 772. Two Cunning Old Foxes. Jiang Li didn't trust the Empyrean and Aragami at all. He knew that the reason why they didn't touch him was because they were afraid of the hidden power behind him. They wanted him to use it now so that they could better observe him. Once he used it and they felt that they could deal with him, they wouldn't hesitate to use their sharp claws and teeth to kill him. These two heavenly venerables definitely wouldn't be polite to him. He, who had cultivated the infinite great Tao, could even detect the ninth and eighth senses, let alone the seventh and eighth senses. They were itching to capture him and refine him. The Aragami didn't mind sending him to the chaos prison to meet the ancestor of martial arts, Ba Liming. But it was better not to fall out with them now. As for the sleeping god, he dared to stir up trouble in his human world. He couldn't let this person go. Unfortunately, whether it was the Empyrean or Aragami, the sleeping god was a heavenly venerable and an extremely powerful one at that. Jiang Li couldn't deal with him by himself. If he used the power of the human emperor, he would use up his energy reserves. When the calamity arrived, the human world would be in turmoil. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I definitely won't use the power of the human emperor. Jiang Li thought to himself, if there's a chance, I want to get rid of the Empyrean and Aragami. Especially the Aragami. Once I get rid of him, the chaos prison might have all sorts of variables. How about it? The task of capturing the sleeping god will be left to you. The Aragami and the Empyrean exchanged glances. The Empyrean spoke, Human Emperor, your other identity is a disciple of our immortal tower. If you capture the sleeping god and bring that thing back, then all the rewards will be yours. You can obtain the chance to calculate with the good fortune jade disc and even obtain the right to do things for you. Everyone, I don't have any human emperor and I can't deal with the sleeping god. Jiang Li's tone changed. Since you know my identity as a disciple of the Immortal Tower, then this identity is useless. I will immediately give it up. I am no longer a disciple of the Immortal Tower, so I can't be bothered to participate in the task of capturing the sleeping god. Luo Feng, let's go. He was about to leave this place. Stop. The expression on the desolate god's face changed. All disciples of the Immortal Tower's star field are recognized by the system. It is impossible for them to leave. Not only will they be cursed by the system, but they will also be captured or thrown into prison. They will also be sacrificed to cleanse their sinful souls. Even if you are the ruler of the human world, there is no exception. Is that so? I'm going to leave now. Come and kill me. A look of disdain appeared on Jiang Li's face. Don't forget, I have no enmity with the sleeping god. It's normal for him to invade the human world. Many experts from the myriad worlds have infiltrated the human world. Your Immortal Tower star field, on the other hand, has suppressed our martial arts ancestor, Ba Liming. Moreover, I have entered the Chaos Prison and interacted with the sleeping god's daughter, Hua Zhuyan. She even asked me to bring her information out. Based on this relationship, I believe that the Immortal Tower star field is better. The sleeping god's wife, Flower God, has been suppressed by you. Our human's martial arts ancestor has also been suppressed by you. We can work together and rescue them. Moreover, you, the desolate god, are the manager of the Chaos Prison. If we capture you, won't we have many opportunities? Why don't I work together with the sleeping god to deal with you? Jiang Li's voice was very loud. It spread in all directions. He purposely said it for the sleeping god to hear. You have seen my daughter, Hua Zhuyan? As expected, a youthful voice came from afar. It came from within the temple. No one knew where he was hiding. Of course. Jiang Li suddenly turned the scene of him seeing Hua Zhuyan into a dream and sent it into the temple. This was the dream of the Soul Emperor. He knew that the sleeping god could definitely feel it. However, the sleeping god was not from the celestial world. Luo Feng could not suppress him. As expected, you have seen my daughter. The desolate god is the key to the Chaos Prison. He is also the biggest traitor of the celestial world. Those people were able to take away the good fortune jade disc back then. It has a lot to do with him. The youthful voice of the sleeping god came again. Master of the human realm, I think we can work together to kill the desolate god. In order to show my sincerity, I am willing to withdraw from the dream of the human realm. That's not necessary. You can do business in the human realm. However, you have to communicate with the heaven's will and the human emperor. According to the law, your game is not bad. Your game is not bad, it can bring benefits to the people of the human world, so I have no reason to ban it. Of course, the dream you started is illegal, so you must pay a fine, register, and establish a company. These are the laws of the human world, and even I cannot violate them. Jiang Li's will was also transmitted into the dream, communicating with the sleeping god. This is a small matter. This is not a small matter. Without rules, nothing can be accomplished. Jiang Li said. As long as the details are done, then everything will follow naturally. Good, well said. I can see that the human realm has the potential to rise. The sleeping god said. I am friends with Crown Prince Demeng. If he wants to do something in the celestial world, I will naturally follow him. This is the essence and cannot be changed. Moreover, he is my master's son. In order to repay my master, I have to help Crown Prince Demeng. Of course, I have to save my wife and daughter first. With this, I can work with you. Very good, very good. Jiang Li convinced the sleeping god in a few words. Of course, he knew that this alliance was not stable. The sleeping god was not a good person either. They were just suspicious of each other. However, in terms of saving his wife and daughter, the sleeping god had the same interests as him. Hold on. The desolate god suddenly said, Sleeping God, you stole our treasures and caused a small problem in the operation of the system. But that doesn't matter. I know why you stole our treasures, and that is to release your wife and daughter from the depths of the chaos prison. I can promise you that there will be no problems. The heavenly God is also here. First, hand over the treasures, and second, work with us to suppress this ruler of the human world. That way, your wife and daughter will be released, and they will live in harmony with us. What do you think? How about it? Don't forget that your wife and daughter are still in our hands. If you go against the Immortal Tower Starfield, I just need to play a little trick and let the demon god in the chaos prison attack your wife and daughter. Then, their fate will be unimaginable. I advise you not to go against me. Don't hurt them. The sleeping god was very angry. However, his tone gradually calmed down. He seemed to be thinking. Don't trust them. Jiang Li's hair stood on end. The Immortal Tower Starfield is not trustworthy. You will be digging your own grave if you trust them. Our Immortal Tower Starfield can become a sacred land of the universe. Every move we make has rules. The heavenly god said slowly, if there were no rules we would not be able to do this. I, the heavenly god, represent part of the law. I will do what I say. I can sign the immortal contract with you now. There are 2 conditions. Return the treasure and capture the human realm lord. Then, your wife and daughter can regain their freedom. I know that you have infiltrated our Immortal Tower Starfield and arranged countless chess pieces. At the same time, you should also know how reliable our immortal contract is. That's true. After the immortal contract is signed, no one can go back on it. Just like the primal oath, those who go back on it will be killed by the god. They will be despised by the heaven and earth. They will have a miserable ending and their luck will be low. The sleeping god understood this very well. The rules of the Immortal Tower Starfield were still very strict. Every move they made had to be followed by the law. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to become a sacred land of the universe. Ha ha ha! Jiang Li let out a long laugh. God of Sleep, don't be fooled. We can definitely capture the origami together and open the chaos prison. You can control your own destiny. That's the way of the king. Besides, even if you manage to suppress me and reunite with your wife and daughter, the Immortal Tower's star region can still capture you and suppress the 3 of you together. This is not just a sentence from them. Moreover, there is one more point. You can't suppress me. I can even fool the great Dream Crown Prince. He broke through the Divine Truth Hall and I took away the most important totem pillar. The 10 Queen Mothers. You will know how strong I am. Indeed, I can't suppress you. The God of Sleep said. Moreover, I know how powerful Ba Liming, who is sealed in the chaotic prison, is. He has completely surpassed the martial world Great Emperor, and is even comparable to the master of the universe's brain. If it's the fate of the entire Holy Land, the Jade Plate of Good Fortune, and the Immortal Monument, it's impossible to suppress him. In order to suppress him, the master of the Immortal Tower can't do anything and can't divert his strength. The 2 of them are entangled together. Therefore, unless it is absolutely necessary, I don't want to offend Ba Liming. Sleeping God. Aren't you afraid that I will let the demon god in the chaos prison capture your wife and daughter and humiliate them? The origami said coldly, a single mistake may cause everlasting sorrow. If you turn back, you will already be 100 years old. You have to think clearly. There is a great opportunity in front of you. If you don't grab it, you will regret it. You dare to threaten me. The sleeping god's tone was furious. However, he didn't dare to say anything as his lifeline was in someone else's hands. If you dare to touch my wife and daughter, I will destroy the limitless brain and cause the system of the entire sacred land to malfunction. The limitless brain? What is that? Jiang Li suddenly thought of something. He really didn't have the secret of this thing in his information. You dare. If you destroy the limitless brain, then there is really no saving him. The heavenly god and the origami roared in anger. Ha ha ha! Jiangli laughed. Sleeping god, actually in the chaos prison, who is the strongest person? That is the ancestor of the martial path, Ba Liming. As long as he protects the safety of your wife and daughter, it is even safer than outside. The only one who can contact Ba Liming is me. You and I will work together to capture the heavenly god and the origami. Especially the origami. After we capture him, we will sacrifice him to Ba Liming. He will immediately be able to break free and bring your wife and daughter out. How about it? Chapter 773. Jiang Li couldn't let the sleeping god, origami, and heavenly god work together. If the three gods joined forces, that would be three celestial venerables. Even if he could escape this time, he would consume a lot of energy. The gains did not make up for the losses. He had come to the undying magic lamp star field to search for energy, not to consume energy. Now that he had no energy to replenish himself, he would lose his foundation. Therefore, he had to work together with the sleeping god to fight against the origami and heavenly god. More importantly, he had to capture the origami and obtain the secret of the chaos prison from him. As long as he could save Ba Liming, everything would be fine. This was what the human world needed. Sleeping god, you have to think carefully. Ba Liming is suppressed in the depths of the immortal monument and can't move at all. He can't even project his projection. He can't protect your wife and daughter at all. If you agree, we can sign the immortal contract immediately. I can even issue an order to take your wife and daughter out of the prison and protect them well. Let them live like princes. The origami quickly said. That's right. As long as you agree to suppress the human world master, we can all help you. Moreover, the human world master has the great emperor's relic of your master. Capture him and that relic will be yours. The heavenly god roared. The sleeping god was silent. Sleeping god. Jiang Li's words suddenly became fierce. Repay kindness with kindness and take revenge with hatred. You are a god, a heavenly venerable. You have your own dignity. You have a grudge against the immortal tower Starfield. They imprisoned your wife and daughter and hunted you everywhere. Our human world has no grudge against you. If you give up your dignity and cooperate with them, what's the use even if you save your wife and daughter? It's better to get what you want than to beg for it. Don't you understand this logic? If your enemy threatens you, you will listen to him. What kind of god are you? You are trash, a coward. Come, I want to see how the Soul Emperor managed to groom such a cowardly existence like you. Hatred is hatred, hatred is hatred. I can be considered the successor of the Soul Emperor. Is this how the 9 seals of the great Emperor that you've learned will manifest itself in the material world? His tone was so intense that it could pierce through metal and stone. His words made people sweat profusely, like the clanging of metal, like the morning bell and evening drum, causing people to reflect deeply. Hearing this, the expressions of the heavenly god and the desolate god changed. All right, master of the human realm, I will cooperate with you. The god of sleep finally made up his mind. You're right. Fate must be in your own hand. You and I have no enmity, but the immortal tower and the star zone have a deep grudge against me. They stole the jade plate of fate and the death of my master. Apart from that, they also imprisoned my wife and daughter, causing them to break up. Now that I'm working with them to suppress you, I'm doing this for my enemy. How can I feel at ease? How can I keep my dignity? I am a god. I am an Empyrean. My dignity and my blood feud must be avenged. As the saying goes, an eye for an eye, an eye for an eye. The dignity of God. It is better to take from the straight than to seek from the crooked. How could such a person have any dignity left when he was willing to sacrifice himself to kill someone he had no grudge against? The god of sleep was a god, a Empyrean, and the successor of the soul Dharch. If he did this, he would truly be unable to recover. From then on, he would have no chance with the Dharch. Ha ha ha! The sleeping god let out a long laugh. His voice rang out from within the temple, filled with killing intent. Heavenly God, desolate God, today this undying magic lamp star field will be your burial ground. I will join forces with the king of the human realm to make sure you stay here forever. Then, a young man appeared at the entrance of the temple. This young man was handsome and charming. He had an extraordinary temperament and looked exactly like a young man. That young man was young Tian-E. Young Tian-E of the human realm. So that's how it is. Jiang Li shuddered. I see. The original cultivation world of the human realm was created by the soul Dharch and the immortal Dharch. The soul Thearka's favorite disciple was the god of sleep. He missed his disciple, so he made Tian-E look like the god of sleep. The god of sleep was once a famous handsome man. Although he didn't belong to the celestial realm, he was very famous there. Countless goddesses fell in love with him. In the end, he married the flower god and became a famous immortal couple. Then, he disappeared without a trace. Luo Feng said, God of sleep, you are indeed fated with the human realm. The heaven's will of the human realm was forged based on you. Jiang Li laughed. That's right. My relationship with my master is not something a normal master and disciple can compare to. We are like father and son. The god of sleep said, Since you are my master's successor, you are also my senior and junior brother. I will try my best to resolve the grudge between you and the great Dream Crown Prince. However, I must first work with you to deal with the Immortal Tower Star Zone. He shook his hand slightly and a cerebellum appeared. The cerebellum was grayish-brown and it was wriggling. It looked like a ball of energy, a ball of flesh and blood. It also looked like a combination of countless data. Limitless cerebellum. Hand over limitless cerebellum. The heavenly god's expression changed. He attached great importance to the cerebellum. It seemed to be related to the safety of the Immortal Tower Star Zone system. The cerebellum is used to maintain balance. Moreover, it is also a martial art to master movement. Therefore, Limitless Cerebellum recorded the secrets of the Immortal Tower Star Zone's martial arts and data. I stole it. This is also the loophole left by my master, the Soul Emperor. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do that. The god of sleep looked at Limitless Cerebellum and smiled. Back then, you destroyed the celestial realm and plotted against my master. You stole the creation jade disc. My master wasn't that easy to trick. He planted some loopholes and seeds in the creation jade disc and the universe's brain star zone system. I planned for countless years and finally succeeded in stealing Limitless Cerebellum. Let's see how the Immortal Tower Star Zone will deal with this. Even if you get it, you won't be able to use it. The heavenly god's eyes were filled with killing intent. He looked at Jiang Li differently. Now, Jiang Li was his enemy. Even the emperor can't use Limitless Cerebellum. If you force it, you'll be sucked dry. It's an inauspicious item. That's why I came to the undying magic lamp star zone to find the source of eternal power. The eternal power is in primal chaos palea energy. If I pour it into Limitless Cerebellum, I can interfere with your system. I didn't expect you and the Desolation God to be so strong. God of Sleep, Jiang Li said, since that's the case, let's join forces and fight. I know that you have changed the Heart Emperor's Great Dream Heart Sutra once again into the Great Tao of Sleep. I believe that if we join forces, we can push the Great Dream Heart Sutra to its limit. I have all the memories of the Soul Emperor. I can give them to you now. What? You give me all of Master's memories? The God of Sleep was shocked. If that's the case, then I'll never be enemies with the human world. After all, it was Master's creation. Changing it to the human world is also Master's dream. Moreover, the human world's heaven's will was created by Master because he missed me. I can't destroy myself. All right. Jiang Li sent a thought over. As expected, he passed the Soul Emperor's memories to the God of Sleep without holding anything back. Master, the God of Sleep knelt on the ground. His eyes were filled with tears, but they didn't drip onto the ground. The tears of gods were very precious. Master, I swear to avenge you. Back then, it was the Light Realm's Heavenly Father, the Immortal Tower, and the universe's brain star zone that worked together to ambush you. I must avenge you. The God of Sleep stood up. Master of the human world, you have inherited Master's teachings. Since you can turn the cultivation world into the human world, then it must be Master's destiny. He was in high spirits and seemed to have made some progress. The dreamscape around him changed, and the aura of a Grand Emperor appeared. This was the aura of a peak celestial becoming a Grand Emperor. He actually gained enlightenment of a Grand Emperor's Tao. The Heavenly God and the Desolate God were shocked. After he obtained the Heart Emperor's memories, he opened his own gate of wisdom and obtained the potential of a great emperor. The divine spark in his body started to change, and his vitality also changed into Great Emperor's Qi. The Grand Emperor's Tao. Grand Emperors were kings among gods. Every Grand Emperor was invincible. They all had monarch godhood, and their cultivation bases were profound. They had the power to topple heaven and earth. The God of Sleep wasn't a Grand Emperor, and he still wasn't one. He had only gained enlightenment of the Grand Emperor's Tao, just a little. He was still far from being a true Grand Emperor, but that alone made him surpass the Heaven God and the Wilds God. After all, as long as he cultivated hard, he could definitely become a Grand Emperor, an overlord of heaven and earth. The Grand Emperor energy was very rare. It was like many princes fighting for the throne, and suddenly one of them stood out and became the crown prince. Although there was still a risk, and he couldn't become an emperor, his status was higher than the other princes. The Grand Emperor was an emperor. The Celestials were a group of princes. And the one who had the Grand Emperor energy and understood the Grand Emperor's Tao was the Crown Prince. He was strong enough to crush the other Celestials. The God of Sleep was indeed the Soul Emperor's proudest disciple. He was deeply indebted to his master, and their hearts were connected. His understanding of the Great Dream Path was even deeper than Jiang Li's and even the Great Dream Crown Prince's. But Jiang Li didn't walk the Grand Dream Tao. He walked the infinite Tao and created his own Tao. That wasn't something the God of Sleep could understand. The Crown Prince also had his own Tao. The God of Sleep's highest achievement was to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Soul Emperor and become his master. But Jiang Li's achievements were limitless. Lord of Men, thank you. If it weren't for you, I would never have been able to understand the Grand Emperor's Tao and my master's true essence. The God of Sleep was much calmer now. My master has the most memories of me. I am the successor of my teacher, not even the Great Dream Crown Prince. He looked at the Wilds God and the Heaven God. Today, both of you will die. Chapter 774. Very good, very good. Jiang Li was very happy. He never had a good impression of the Immortal Tower's star field. The two sacred grounds were mortal enemies. With the two sacred grounds, the mortal world couldn't develop. Only by capturing the Desolate God could he pry into the secrets of the Chaos Prison. Killing the Heavenly God could he obtain some secrets of the Immortal Tower's star field. The Sleeping God obtained all of the Heart Emperor's memories and truly inherited the orthodoxy. Master and disciple became one, and although he didn't become a true emperor, he had the Emperor's Tao and Emperor's Qi. Once this Qi was formed, his godhead had the aura of a king. Kill me! The Heavenly God and the Desolate God calmed down. Good, good. Sleeping God, you're definitely going against the Immortal Tower's star field. You'll become a demon with a single thought. No one can save you. The Immortal Tower's star field is the true demon. I'm the orthodox Immortal Tao, the inheritor of the immortal emperor's orthodoxy. Although the immortal tower's star field can flourish for a while by force, it's already against the harmony of heaven and earth. It will definitely decline. The sleeping god struck out with his palm. His robes fluttered in the wind. Clear energy filled the universe, and radiance shone everywhere. Rumble! The vital energy around his palm turned into a whirlpool. It was as if many spatial dragons were rising. As the dragons roared, the music shook the 9 heavens and the earth. His palm could reach the profound, and it could control the heaven and earth. There was an unfathomable divine might everywhere. The palm swept out, completely enveloping the heavenly god and the desolate god. One person against 2 deities, yet he still had the absolute upper hand. This was his divine technique, his most powerful art. Jiang Li's body suddenly disappeared. He activated the Great Dream 9 seals. This wave of true energy actually fused with the sleeping god. The two came from the same source, and they were both the Heart Emperor's Dream Divine Tao. His power also increased along with it. Originally, although he had cultivated the infinite Great Tao, he was only comparable to the ancestor god. He was almost completely defeated by the celestial venerables. But now that the sleeping god was suppressing the two, he could borrow the sleeping god's power to activate his divine art and attack the heavenly god and the desolate god. He even absorbed the celestial venerable qi that they released during the battle. Jiang Li's grab caused the desolate god and the heavenly god's expressions to change slightly. This was because they could sense that Jiang Li's grab did not harm them at all. Instead, he was slowly stripping away a lot of their energy. The Empyrean energy they emitted was snatched away, weakening their protective astral energy and eroding their god power. More importantly, it seemed like Jiang Li was using the heavenly will of the three-dimensional universe to expose their true forms. This was because the heavenly will of the third-dimension universe rejected God. Not to mention gods, as long as it was a powerhouse with 3 or more great Tao, they would be suppressed. If the origami and the heavenly gods lost their ability to deceive the heaven's will, they would die and immediately turn into ashes. Even if they were great emperors, they couldn't compare to the heavenly will of the three-dimensional universe. It was the same for the sleeping god. However, the sleeping god also seemed to have a secret technique to steal from the heavens. Fortunately, he was cooperating with Jiang Li. Jiang Li used the aura of his myriad world celestial sphere to conceal his divinity. Even if the secret technique was broken, it wouldn't matter. The secret technique on the desolate god and the heavenly god was definitely a small tower in the star field of the immortal tower. This kind of tower was equivalent to a contract. It was a contract signed between the master of the immortal tower and the source of the three-dimensional universe's heavenly will. It allowed gods to walk in the three-dimensional universe unimpeded and unpunished. If this small tower was broken, the desolate god and the heavenly god would be in big trouble. Jiang Li understood this deeply. Now that he had grabbed, he was weakening the concentration of the small tower contract between the two, exposing the two to the three-dimensional universe. By then, killing or imprisoning the two would be a piece of cake. Heaven is fair, the 3 elements return to one. Once the chaos is broken, heaven and earth will be born. Jiang Li spun again, his eyes shooting out endless light. Immediately, he saw that inside the bodies of the heavenly god and the desolate god, there was really a small tower slowly revolving. The small tower was formed by many characters and strange will. It was really a contract. If the contract was broken and torn, the heavenly god and the desolate god could be defeated. It wasn't him who defeated them, but the three-dimensional universe's heavenly will that defeated them. Kill. The desolate god suddenly shot a glance at the heavenly god emissary and attacked Jiang Li. The heavenly god blocked the attack of the sleeping god. At this time, Luo Feng appeared. She and Jiang Li held hands, their physique and yuan qi intertwined. When the desolate god's attack reached Jiang Li's body, it suddenly disappeared. All the desolate god's yuan qi was swept away by Jiang Li and absorbed into his body, fusing with Luo Feng. Luo Feng was a child of the immortal world. Anyone from the immortal world who attacked her would have their energy absorbed by her. Therefore, she was fearless. When she fused with Jiang Li also inherited her characteristic. The desolate god was completely suppressed. Whoosh! The desolate god retreated. Heavenly God, you deal with these two, I'll deal with the sleeping god. How is that possible, desolate god? You are a person of the immortal world. Attacking the child of the immortal world is treason. The heaven's will of the immortal world will punish you. You will suffer the strongest curse of the immortal world. Luo Feng put her hands together as if praying. Suddenly, a purplish-green halo appeared above the desolate god's head. It wrapped around his head and tightened, causing a pained expression to appear on his face. It was like Sun Wukong had encountered the band-tightening curse. This was the curse of the immortal world's origin. Back then, Luo Feng's cultivation was not enough, so she could not use the immortal world's origin. But recently, she followed Jiang Li to explore the heavenly court and destroyed the universal truth cult. She developed a powerful force of fusion with the immortal world's origin, and recently, she was about to combine three Daos into one. Her cultivation increased, and she was praised by the heaven's will of the immortal world. Since the desolate god attacked her, she naturally suffered the backlash. Jiang Li, do it. The power of a mortal emperor. As long as you capture the desolate god, not only will you be able to replenish the power you consumed, you will also gain many unexpected benefits. Luo Feng said. My curse won't be able to stop him for long. After all, he has been away from the immortal world for so many years and is valued by the master of the immortal tower. With a little transformation, he can gradually get rid of his immortal bloodline. Break! Jiang Li hesitated no more. A huge energy passageway opened behind him, and the aura of a true great emperor appeared. This was not a trace of the great emperor Dao like the sleeping god, but a true great emperor. Great emperors were invincible existences. The human realm heart had fused with the mind monarch Sarira, the eternal heart, the wondrous tree of seven treasures, the wrath of the firmament, the bell of the eastern emperor, the doomsday sky dagger axe, the tear of the Deva mother, the ancient chaos halberd, the totem god pillar, and the 11 queen mothers. It had absorbed endless primal chaos palea chi and connected to the everlasting ancient well in the immortal world. Any one of these treasures was earth-shattering and had the aura of a great emperor. The appearance of the human realm emperor made the human realm stand tall in the forest of world. The human realm emperor was controlled by Jiang Li, and a hand reached out and grabbed at the desolate god. The desolate god's head was bound by the azure-purple celestial world's essence, and it was in pain. Its mind was in a mess, and when Jiang Li grabbed it, the yuan qi in its body started to leak out. It was basically in a state where it was completely at the mercy of others. At this moment, Jiang Li was not using his own power, but the hand of the great emperor. The human realm emperor was getting more and more powerful, and the desolate god could not resist it. Moreover, this hand of Jiang Li was not grabbing at the desolate god, but the contract of the small pagoda in the desolate god's body. He knew that the desolate god must have a trump card, and he might not be able to kill it. Grabbing the contract and letting the heaven's will of the three-dimensional universe deal with it would be foolproof. No matter how powerful the trump card was, it would be useless against the heaven's will of the three-dimensional universe. Crack! The hand of the great emperor grabbed the body of the desolate god, and as expected, it only took a moment to grab the small pagoda out. This attack by Jiang Li was precise. The power of the human realm emperor could not be used easily. Using it once was already a luxury. If it was used a few more times, then the human realm would become unstable, and chaos would arise. Kill! The desolate god's human chi soared, and it seemed to be fighting with its life on the line. The purple and green band on its head exploded, and its hair fluttered, like a waterfall falling behind its head. I won't let you succeed even if I die. The aura of the good fortune jade disc appeared above its head. This time, just like Wan Qianxiu, his trump card was also the attack of the good fortune jade disc. He had been operating in the Immortal Tower for many years, and it was not something that Wan Qianxiu could compare to. The number of merit points and chaos coins he had accumulated was an astronomical figure. These merit points and chaos coins were enough to be converted into the power of the Good Fortune Jade Disc. Good Fortune Jade Disc activate. The shadow of the Good Fortune Jade Disc on the Yang side destroyed the hand of the Human Realm Emperor. Humph. This Good Fortune Jade Disc only has the Yang side, and its power is not great. It is not even as powerful as the time when Wan Qianxiu and Xianyuan Bian combined the yin and yang side of the Good Fortune Jade Disc. At that time, I secretly calculated and obtained the bloodline of Wan Qianxiu and Xianyuan Bian. Infinite good fortune appear. Jiang Li's eyes shone, and he struck out the infinite good fortune of the infinite divine fist. At the same time, his will communicated with the celestial court of the immortal world, the origin will of the immortal world. His left hand also evolved the yang side of the good fortune jade disc, but it was his own transformation. His right hand evolved the yin side of the good fortune jade disc. Yin and yang combined. This was the essence of infinite good fortune. An ancient incantation appeared. Good fortune jade disc, ancient good fortune. You should be complete, not incomplete. I once saw the power of your yin and yang combined. Your true body should return to the world of immortals, not be controlled by wretched devils. The order of the world of immortals needs your protection. The ascension of the world of immortals and the appearance of the heavenly court require your suppression. This was Jiang Li communicating with the essence of the world of immortals, the will of the world of immortals, and the ancient power of the heavenly court. He was attempting to interfere with the will of the good fortune jade disc. Furthermore, he was simulating the combined attack of Xianyuan Bian and Wan Qianxiu. Sure enough, the attack of the jade disc of good fortune broke through the palm of the human sovereign. When it came down again, it was fused by the yin and yang sides of him. With a tremble and a prayer, the phantom of the jade disc of good fortune actually fused into Jiang Li's body and disappeared without a trace. This time, not only did the attack not injure him, but it also became his nourishment. Chapter 775. How could this be? The desolate god's one chance to use the good fortune jade disc could even defeat a great emperor. He didn't expect that Jiang Li would be able to resolve it and even devour the power of the attack. This was simply miraculous and beyond his imagination. Actually, he didn't know that the good fortune jade disc belonged to the celestial world. Jiang Li used the power of the sun of the celestial world to pray and comprehend the fate and Permitha bloodlines. He used these two bloodlines to evolve the yin and yang sides of the good fortune jade disc, striking out the deepest essence of the infinite creation. The attack of the good fortune jade disc was very vast. Under normal circumstances, it couldn't be devoured. However, Jiang Li's infinite great Tao itself was abnormal. It contained all the characteristics of fate and Permitha, but it greatly surpassed fate and Permitha. The meaning of infinity could break through all obstacles and endure everything. Good fortune jade disc changed the attack. Emptiness, infinity, 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 emptiness. The 100th rune appear, quickly cultivate it. Jiang Li's body shook. He actually converted the attack of the good fortune jade disc into the rune of the first emptiness law. The emptiness law also turned into the laws of 100 million runes. Infinite great Tao, the aura of a king. At this moment, he had the ability to compete with the destiny great Tao. Emptiness, emptiness, emptiness. Beginning, middle, end. 3 great laws, 100 million runes. His cultivation skyrocketed, breaking through the sky and reaching a new height. The attack of the good fortune jade disc not only allowed him to cultivate the 100 million runes of the emptiness law, but it also fed back to the human world and entered the body of the great emperor. This way, the energy consumed by the great emperor was not only completely replenished, but also increased. In the eyes of many of the upper echelons of the human world, the body of the great emperor became clearer and more alive. This time, the energy storage of the great emperor has increased by a third. Dream Kite was shocked. What did Zhongli do? What did he find? She didn't know that this was the attack energy of the good fortune jade disc. The attack power of the good fortune jade disc far exceeded that of a great emperor. With a single strike, it could, of course, increase the quality of a human great emperor. In the ancient ruins of the everlasting magic lamp star region, Jiang Li and the Aragami engaged in an even more intense battle. The Aragami's attack using the good fortune jade disc had no effect. Instead, it allowed Jiang Li to cultivate the law of emptiness into 100 million runes. In this way, he was almost completely defeated. Although he was a celestial sovereign, unfortunately, he was someone from the celestial world. Those in the world of immortals couldn't attack Luo Feng. Even if they used the good fortune jade disc, they couldn't kill Luo Feng. Therefore, Jiang Li used Luo Feng's abilities to completely suppress them. If a heavenly god were to unleash the good fortune jade disc's attack, he would not be able to withstand it at all. However, he already had a plan. He would chase after the desolate god and not let him go. The desolate god's cultivation was higher than Jiang Li's, but it was a pity that his attacks were useless against Jiang Li. Because of Luo Feng, every attack he made was for Jiang Li, son of the immortal world. The desolate god flew into a rage and cursed, "One day, I will capture you and trample you to death. I am now changing my bloodline, changing the bloodline of the immortal world into the bloodline of the immortal tower. Once I succeed, it will be the time of your death. All the more reason why I can't let you go." Luo Feng said coldly, "I know you have been plotting against me for a long time, using me as a token of allegiance to the master of the immortal tower. But how can you succeed? Today, I have joined forces with the Lord of the human world. His great Tao has been completed, and he has opened a new path. His strength is enough to suppress you. Kill." Jiang Li was unmoved. He attacked again. His infinite great Tao had refined emptiness, emptiness, and emptiness into 100 million runes. With the aura of a king, he could hurt a celestial venerable. Even a celestial venerable would be injured if they were attacked by him. Moreover, Jiang Li's attacks were very insidious. They were all aimed at the contract of the immortal tower within the desolate god's body. Once the contract of the immortal tower was broken, Jiang Li would be able to suppress the desolate god, devour him, and control all the opportunities. The desolate god didn't dare to escape, because he had already used his trump card. Although he still had a few chances to attack with the good fortune jade disc, it would only increase Jiang Li's energy. Everything about him was restrained. He couldn't even self-destruct, because it couldn't hurt Luo Feng. Luo Feng's constitution had completely suppressed him. Jiang Li was sinister and ruthless. With a slight movement, he turned into all kinds of attacks, completely enveloping the desolate god. The desolate god's attacks were also absorbed by him. This way, the situation became one-sided. Thinking about it, the desolate god's attacks were actually nourishment for Jiang Li. Moreover, Jiang Li's attacks could deeply injure the desolate god. What chance did the desolate god have? Kill. Jiang Li once attacked with the cultivation of the mortal emperor. Such an attack was a trump card, and the desolate god's cultivation couldn't resist it at all. The mortal emperor had absorbed the good fortune jade disc's attack just now, increasing his energy by another third. Jiang Li could attack at least 4 or 5 times. But the mortal emperor only needed one attack to deal with the desolate god. Rumble! The mortal emperor's palm appeared again. This palm contained all living beings in the world. Everything in the human world was under its control. One palm was the human world, one palm was the universe, one palm was the universe, one palm was the god of life and death. The hand of the mortal emperor was a true mortal emperor. Moreover, it was the hand of 5 emperors, the aura of the 5 emperors of the heavenly court. The desolate god was also from the immortal world. He was the subordinate of the firmament emperor. The aura of the 5 emperors suppressed him severely. The mortal emperor contained the divine abilities of the 5 emperors, the cultivation of the 5 emperors, and the aura of the 5 emperors. It was the same as suppressing the desolate god in an era. The desolate god's expression finally changed. He couldn't resist against Zhongli. In front of the 5 emperors, he could only bow his head. No! When the mortal emperor's palm landed, the desolate god knelt down. He was sweating profusely. He couldn't resist at all. I can't resist. Lord of the human world, son of the immortal world, what do you want from me? Just say it. Very well. Luo Feng suddenly pounced forward. Some purplish-green talismans appeared in his hand. He started praying and planting them into the desolate god's body. Desolate god, you have been cursed by me. Now you must obey me. I will connect your soul with the heaven's will of the immortal world. This is the method the mortal emperor used to manage his subjects. After planting the talismans, Luo Feng's expression was very relaxed. I am the son of the immortal world. After I capture you, I have enough methods to deal with you. In the future, if you don't listen to me, I will activate the curse. At that time, the heaven's will of the immortal world will automatically appear in your body. Think about the consequences. I know. The desolate god completely surrendered. His face was ashen. He knew that this time, he was completely defeated. Desolate god, tell me, how can I save the ancestor of martial arts, Ba Liming? Jiang Li hurriedly said. Sacrifice. Hold a huge sacrifice and worship the immortal monument. The monument will then acknowledge you. The most important thing in the world is sacrifice. Heaven and earth can be sacrificed, ghosts and gods can be sacrificed, emperors can be sacrificed, chaos can be sacrificed. The immortal monument is the gathering of the gods who died in battle in the immortal tower. Who knows how many heroic spirits are gathered together? Their strength can even fight against the master of the immortal tower. Desolate god hurriedly said. Other than sacrifice, what else can I do? Luo Feng asked. If we could gather enough items and gods, we would have long since taken over the heavenly court. Would Crown Prince Great Dream still be able to do whatever he wants in the heavenly court? Then there's no other way. Actually, I already have an idea. We can sacrifice all the gods in the Chaos Prison and gather them on the Immortal Monument. We can then work together to absorb all the demon gods in the Chaos Prison. What do you think? The desolate god did not forget to use his crafty plot. Do you take me for a fool? Jiang Li laughed. Desolate god, you're still playing tricks at a time like this? I know as much as you do about the experts in the Chaos Prison. One of them is the younger brother of the Spirit Emperor, Patriarch Heart Devil. We're definitely not a match for him. His current cultivation base is no weaker than the Spirit Emperor back then. Do you think we have any chance of winning? No. The ancestor of martial arts, Ba Liming, can suppress all of them. All we have to do is loosen the Deathless Monument a bit, and Ba Liming will come out. In the blink of an eye, he'll take over the great necropolis in the prison of chaos and destroy it. Sacrifice it all. Do you really think August Patriarch Heart Devil is stronger than Ba Liming, the ancestor of the martial Tao? There are demon gods and good gods in there. I have no enmity with them. Why should I kill them all? Jiang Li did not believe the desolate god. Alright, let's not talk about this. Desolate God, let's suppress Heavenly God together. No, I can't suppress Heavenly God. He's my superior. The desolate God growled. He has a power that counters me. He's also very mysterious. He's not from the immortal world and has many trump cards. Even a grand emperor would have a hard time suppressing him. Is that so? At that moment, the sleeping god had the upper hand against the heavenly god. The sleeping god was worthy of being the Heart Emperor's most important disciple and successor. Waves of dreamlike aura emanated from his body, forming a world that trapped the heavenly gods. His aura seemed to have 1/10 of the Thearcha's might. Dream of 1,000 autumns. What year is it today? The sleeping god's every move exuded a dreamy aura that suppressed the heavenly god. His aura was like that of a ruler who could turn dreams into reality. His every move was like the spirit emperor returning to the world of mortals. A small grand emperor relic appeared above his head, filled with great daos. It had the aura of a grand emperor relic. Let me lend you a hand. Jiang Li pointed. Instantly, his cultivation base and the god of sleep were connected. He used the Dream Heart Sutra to connect his body with the god of sleep. This way, the god of sleep could communicate with the 10,000 worlds, absorb energy, and cultivate the great daos that he had comprehended. Myriad worlds body. The sleeping god was overjoyed. The noblest bloodline in the world, the descendant of Yuanshi, the soul of the myriad worlds' celestial sphere. You really are a proud son of heaven. I've been worrying about not being able to cultivate many great daos after obtaining my master's memories. Now that I can connect with your myriad worlds body, everything is easy. I can use any kind of energy in infinite worlds. Ha ha ha, I can cultivate the Grand Emperor relic in an instant. It'll save me at least hundreds of thousands of years of hard work. Indeed, even if the sleeping god obtained the Spirit Emperor's memories and cultivated godhood, he would still need a long time to gather energy. It wasn't something that could be done in a day. But with Jiang Li's help, he could do it in a day that could be compared to hundreds of thousands of years. This was the nobleness of the Yuanshi bloodline, the soul of the myriad worlds' celestial sphere, and the nobleness of the humans on Earth. Chapter 776. Jiang Li knew that his realm was not high enough to fight a heavenly god. Even if he used the power of a human emperor, the heavenly god had many trump cards. Even the desolate god had the opportunity to use the good fortune jade disc, so it was impossible for the heavenly god not to. If the heavenly god used the good fortune jade disc, Jiang Li would not be able to fight against it. This person could not be restrained. He was not from the celestial world, so killing Luo Feng would not be cursed or hindered. Jiang Li could not absorb the good fortune jade disc's attack again. Besides the good fortune jade disc's attack, the heavenly god must have other methods. Therefore, Jiang Li would not fight the heavenly god head-on. It was better to support the sleeping god. And it was better for him to support the sleeping god than to fight the heavenly god himself. He shared his constitution with the sleeping god, allowing the sleeping god to quickly condense the great emperor's relic and cultivate the great Tao. His cultivation was close to the peak of heavenly venerable and infinitely close to the great emperor. The sleeping god suppressed the heavenly god completely. He was waiting for an opportunity to use the human emperor's suppression. This was the best choice. Besides, he could help the sleeping god condense his cultivation. He could also benefit greatly. When the sleeping god absorbed the energy of the world, it would be stored in his body. The energy compressed by the heavenly venerable godhead was very pure. Not only that, he could also obtain the sleeping god's martial experience and cultivate the strongest technique. He felt that his dreamless nomological laws could condense 100 million runes. Dreamless heaven and earth, emptiness and reality, dreams become reality, dreamless break dreams, restraining great dreams, limitless is dreamless. He was secretly comprehending. Rolling energy gathered on his body, causing his 100 nomological laws to fly out again. They turned into a long rainbow that spun around his body, wrapping around his powerful soul fire. Then, the dreamless nomological laws flew out. The last rune was finally condensed. This rune could break all illusions and obstacles, returning reality to the world. It was also something that restrained the Dream Heart Sutra. If the Soul Emperor was here and saw the dreamless nomological laws, he would definitely be in awe. This was great wisdom that even he could not understand. He had successfully cultivated the fourth law that surpassed 100 million. Jiang Li's cultivation base continued to rise, and his psychic power skyrocketed. His soul flame also grew stronger, and his bloodline grew purer. Inside of him, countless vortexes appeared, each of which represented a universe within the myriad worlds. As the universes grew larger and larger, it indicated that Jiang Li was on the verge of becoming a celestial sphere of the myriad worlds. He had a feeling that the myriad worlds' celestial sphere was him, and he was the myriad worlds' celestial sphere. Aragami, you actually failed and even fell into the hands of the enemy. Hurry up and kill yourself. During the battle with the sleeping god, the Empyrean saw the desolate god being suppressed and roared, "Desolate god, you have the secrets of the chaos prison. You can't fall into the enemy's hands. They want to use you to release the ancestor of the martial path, Ba Liming, that evil demon. I can't die. I don't want to die. I have the potential to become a great emperor. I want to become a great emperor." The desolate god roared with grief and indignation, "I can't become a great emperor. But in these years, I've been managing the chaos prison, making the demon gods kill each other. I've absorbed the potential of many demon gods with great luck, allowing my potential to reach perfection. If I cultivate for another few 100,000 years, I'll definitely become a great emperor. I can't die. I don't want to die." You have to die. Even if you don't die, you have to die. Your fatal thing is in Master's hands. If Master wants you to die, you die. If he wants you to live, you live. Have you forgotten the oath you made when you entered the Immortal Tower? The Empyrean roared again, "I'll sacrifice my life for Master." Master is now wholeheartedly suppressing Ba Liming, and even wants to suppress Wang Chao with the Master of the Universe's brain. Wang Chao has not only invaded the system of the Universe's brain, but he's also using the Good Fortune Jade Disc to invade the system of the Immortal Tower. The desolate god said, "If that's the case, Empyrean, why do you still want to serve Master? I think the human world has the greatest potential. The Master of the Good Fortune Jade Disc won't be able to control it very soon. What do you know? Master has already discussed with the ruler of the universe's brain and Crown Prince Demeng. At the same time, they will hold the primal chaos ritual. During the ritual, the Good Fortune Jade Disc will fuse and kill Wang Chao and Ba Liming. Crown Prince Demeng will be able to obtain the complete Good Fortune Jade Disc and control the Heavenly Court. Master can devour Ba Liming and enter a whole new realm. This is killing two birds with one stone." The Empyrean warned sternly, "If you ruin Master's plan, you won't even be able to die." "What?" Upon hearing this, Jiang Li's expression changed drastically. It seemed that the two masters of the Immortal Tower and the Universe's brain had made a concession. They gave up on the Good Fortune Jade Disc and let Crown Prince Demeng control it. The premise was that when the Good Fortune Jade Disc fused, the three sides could suppress and kill Wang Chao and Ba Liming. In this way, the Immortal Tower and the Universe's brain wouldn't lose anything. One devoured Wang Chao, the other devoured Ba Liming. They would become even more powerful and reach the realm of Yuanshi. The three sides could completely combine for their own benefit. At that time, the human world would no longer have any hope. He was determined to stop this matter. Jiang Li was deeply aware of the great influence and power that would be produced if the good fortune jade disc fused and returned to the heavenly court. Most importantly, if the two masters of the immortal tower and the universe's brain were ruthless and sacrificed their own star regions, it would be enough to hold the chaos sacrifice dozens of times. Thinking about it, the immortal tower and the universe's brain's star regions had many gods and great world. They weren't inferior to the entire demon world and dragon world at all. If they were all sacrificed, how much influence would it have? This was also the final trump card. Jiang Li knew that even if he were to sacrifice, he wouldn't sacrifice the entire human world. He couldn't even destroy himself for this matter. On the contrary, he could destroy himself for the human world. The human world was him, and he was the human world. However, the masters of the immortal tower and the universe's brain definitely wouldn't do so, because they built their own star regions for the sake of sacrificing and gathering fate. Heavenly deity. I won't destroy myself, I definitely won't. The desolate god suddenly roared angrily, for my own safety, then I must kill you. He pounced and charged into the circle, starting to kill the heavenly deity together with the sleeping god. His roar was like thunder, and his attacks were like lightning. He was actually putting in more effort than when he was fighting against Jiang Li. When he was fighting against Jiang Li, he wasn't under the pressure of death. If the heavenly deity escaped now, the fact that he betrayed his master would be leaked, and he would die without a burial. The sleeping god, the desolate god, and Jiang Li attacked the heavenly deity alone. Instantly, the heavenly deity was in extreme danger. You really want to force me into a dead end? Very well, I'll let you see why I'm called the heavenly deity. The word heaven isn't something an ordinary person can call. Even the heavenly Father, who called himself heaven, fell. But I won't fall, I'm invincible. Chaos divine weapon, Sky Strike, come out. He grabbed at the void. A great spear appeared out of nowhere. This great spear was filled with the ancient chaotic aura. It was actually a chaos divine weapon that was as powerful as the totem pillar, and even stronger than the ancient chaos halberd. This thing could hurt a great emperor. Sky Strike Spear. With a spear in hand, ghosts and gods wouldn't be spared. His spear technique was unleashed. Good fortune jade disc. Give me the power to turn into a great emperor and suppress everything. On his body, the image of the good fortune jade disc appeared again. However, this time, the good fortune jade disc didn't attack. Instead, it gave him the power. Apart from that, it also adjusted his body. The Sky Strike Spear was dazzling. With a casual flick, the starry sky revolved around the tip of the spear. On his body, a pure great emperor aura appeared. He was a true great emperor. He had turned into a great emperor. He wasn't a great emperor in the mortal world like Jiang Li. Not good. The desolate god hurriedly retreated. He knew that the heavenly god wanted to kill him first. He used all of his accumulated power, which is equivalent to letting the good fortune jade disc imbue him with power, turning him into a great emperor with the power of a great emperor. Ordinary celestial venerables would immediately explode if they used the power of a great emperor. But he's different. He has the Sky Strike Spear. The Sky Strike Spear can contain the power of a sky. This way, he can truly transform into a great emperor for at least 2 hours. We need to retreat quickly, or we'll be killed by him. Damn it! The god of sleep was shocked. All of the heavenly god's power was reflected back at him. He spat out a mouthful of blood and hurriedly retreated. Now, the heavenly god had the power of a great emperor. If he turned into a great emperor, he wouldn't be able to resist it. This wasn't Jiang Li using the power of a great emperor. The great emperor was a treasure, and it wasn't easy to use. Retreat quickly. At this time, Jiang Li knew that there was no hope of subduing the heavenly god. It would be good if he could stay alive. He also didn't want to use the power of a great emperor to fight the heavenly god. Go. The god of sleep's power swept out. He joined forces with Jiangli, Luo Feng, Desolate God, and Hua Zhuxian. They actually formed a formation of 5 great emperors and flew away from the heavenly god. All of you must die. The heavenly god wouldn't let these people go. This time, he released all of his savings. He could maintain the great emperor's body for 2 hours. If he let these people go, then all of his savings would be wasted. He was riding a tiger and couldn't back down. He was a gambler who staked everything on this one throw. The sky strike spear turned into a whirlpool, trying to suck in all 5 of them. Jiangli, the god of sleep, Desolate God, Luo Feng and Hua Zhuxian worked together to set up a formation. But it was useless. Under the sky strike spear's whirlpool, the formation collapsed layer by layer. This wasn't the celestial world. Luo Feng couldn't use the celestial world source. This was the 3rd dimension universe. She and Jiangli didn't have any advantage. Their formation was broken. The sky strike spear descended, covering the entire universe. Only the tip of the spear was left. Hua Zhuxian couldn't take it anymore. His body exploded. Even his soul flame was about to be extinguished. His cultivation was the weakest. He couldn't block an attack from a heavenly god. Not to mention an attack from a great emperor, even a gaze could melt him. Not good. Jiangli coughed out a mouthful of blood. He used his limitless bloodline to rebuild Hua Zhuxian's body. He couldn't let Hua Zhuxian die because he was his friend. Hua Zhuxian was already unconscious. He woke up after being stimulated by the limitless bloodline. Seeing that his body was recovering and becoming stronger, he couldn't help but feel grateful. But it was useless. An even stronger power pressed down. His body was about to explode again. Not only him, but everyone else was in danger. Seems like I have to use the great emperor's power, Jiangli said. At this moment, something happened. Hua Zhuxian opened his eyes. A mysterious power that could topple the celestial world surged into his body. He actually released the aura of a great emperor. Proud, lonely, invincible, destroying everything. Great Emperor Immortal Slayer. It's the aura of Great Emperor Immortal Slayer. Luo Feng's hair stood on end. Chapter 777. Who would have thought that Hua Immortal Slayer would become Immortal Slayer Great Emperor? At this moment, he was about to die, but a mysterious power came over him and made him a Great Emperor. Immortal Slayer Great Emperor that made other Great Emperors tremble in fear. Even heavenly venerables couldn't withstand the power of a Great Emperor. With Hua Immortal Slayer's cultivation, even a trace of a Great Emperor's power would cause him to explode. But now there was only one possibility. He was the reincarnation of Immortal Slayer Great Emperor. He was about to be killed by the heavenly deity here. The power that Immortal Slayer Great Emperor left here suddenly surged in to protect his reincarnation. Only his reincarnated body could withstand his power and not explode. Because the reincarnation was very compatible. I didn't expect Immortal Slayer Great Emperor's reincarnation to be Hua Immortal Slayer. I thought he was just an ordinary fated person. He's too strong, too strong. Jiangli came to his senses and saw Hua Zhuxian's strength rising steadily. His aura instantly surpassed his own. His black hair fluttered in the wind, permeating through the void. His arms were wide and his shoulders were thick. His shoulders seemed to be able to hold up the sun, moon, and stars. His palms were even more unpredictable, holding the most terrifying power in this world. His eyes could see through the deepest existences in the world, from the 9 heavens to the yellow springs. His legs were firmly planted in the depths of the 3 dimensions. He seemed to have made some kind of contract with the universe. Hua Immortal Slayer controlled the entire scene. Time stopped. One of his hands slowly reached out. The sky strike spear stabbed into his palm. But it was extremely difficult for it to advance further. The heavenly deity's face showed fear. He had the strength of a great emperor for 2 hours, but he couldn't fight against the current Immortal Slayer Great Emperor. Immortal Slayer Great Emperor was a ferocious monster. Everyone in the world would tremble when they heard his name. Die. The heavenly deity couldn't back down now. He could only attack. No matter how strong his opponent was, he had to kill him with one strike. Life climbed to the peak of its intensity. The Sky Strike Spear whirlpool appeared again. It wanted to break Hua Immortal Slayer Great Emperor's palm and kill him with one strike. Hua Immortal Slayer's eyes were cold and emotionless. He reached out and grabbed again. Crack! Once he grabbed the spearhead could no longer move forward. Annihilate the world! 4 words came out of his mouth. Every time he spat out these 4 words, a crack would appear on the Sky Strike Spear. When he spat out the last 4 words, it was like a hot knife through butter. The Sky Strike Spear actually shattered inch by inch and scattered in all directions. Then, he took another step forward and grabbed the Kami's neck. Heavenly God. In the Immortal Tower star field, there were 108 god generals. The number 1 Heavenly Venerable had used his last bit of accumulation to become a heavenly deity emperor. How mighty was this? However, in front of the Immortal Slayer Emperor, he was like a child that had just learned how to walk. He was held by the neck, and all of his power was sealed. Crackle! The twisting cymbals froze the heavenly deity, and then the heavenly deity assumed the posture of a spear. Its power, essence, energy, primordial spirit, and soul were all concentrated, not leaking the slightest bit. As soon as he was sealed, the heavenly deity stopped moving. Hua Zhuxian's aura grew weaker and weaker. He opened his eyes slowly. What happened to me? He had once again returned to the weak Hua Immortal Slayer, not the invincible Immortal Slayer Great Emperor who dominated the world. You're the reincarnation of Grand Emperor Immortal Slayer. Just now, you were possessed by the power you left behind, which saved your life. However, you still haven't fully awakened. You'll need to advance once more and awaken your ancient memories. Only then will you be able to find the power you lost. The desolate god was completely stunned. He didn't expect the situation to turn around in an instant. Hua Zhuxian, who was so weak that he didn't even care about him, was actually the reincarnation of the Immortal Slayer Emperor. Wasn't he courting death by being arrogant in front of him? Let me rest for a while. Hua Zhuxian heard Jiang Li's words, but he didn't fully understand. He was extremely tired and his body softened, and he fainted. Jiang Li moved and put him into a space, letting him slowly recover and walk towards the heavenly deity. The heavenly deity was frozen and couldn't move at all. The power of the great monarch in his body had yet to dissipate. In other words, he was now a sealed great monarch. Even though the heaven-striking spear was broken, it turned into a chaotic current that kept spinning, as if it was going to reform. Heaven-striking spear, return to the human realm. Jiang Li made a grabbing motion and the shattered primal chi was teleported back to the human realm, entering the depths of the human realm's heart. After obtaining this super-strong primal divine weapon, the human realm's heart trembled once again, and its power increased by quite a bit. The human realm great monarch nodded and smiled, as if he had his own feelings. Chaotic divine weapons were ancient and innate, the best nourishment for the world. Moreover, it was a broken chaotic divine weapon, which saved Jiang Li the energy to refine it. Next was the heavenly deity. Heavenly deity, while the aura of the good fortune jade disc has yet to dissipate, I will refine you and fuse you into my body. You're right, even the Heavenly Father is dead. How can the heavenly deity still be alive? Jiang Li looked at the heavenly deity as if he was looking at a delicious dish. Immediately, he moved and many rays of light appeared from his body, creating an altar. Then, the altar placed the heavenly deity. Heavenly deity, I will use you as a sacrifice to the human realm. The heavenly Tao is controlled by humans, so the heavenly deity should return to the human realm. You shouldn't have any objections, right? As he spoke, he began to offer the sacrifice. An ancient chant came from the depths of his throat and revolved around the heavenly deity. The heavenly deity couldn't open his mouth to speak, but fear appeared in his eyes. During the sacrifice, flames appeared on the heavenly deity's body. These were the flames of the mortal world. The mortal world could even rot gods. The boundless mortal world could be turned upside down. When the flames of the mortal world appeared, the heavenly deity struggled in pain, but it was to no avail. Soon, he turned into ashes and truly disappeared from the world. A heavenly deity fell just like that, not even having the chance to reincarnate. It was impossible for a sacrificed god to be reincarnated. A sacrifice and a natural death were completely different. All of a sudden, the sky of the human realm was filled with brilliant lights and vibrant colors. The interior of the entire world expanded like a balloon and many spatial zones were born. Those spatial zones were like beehives. Some of the depths of these spatial zones were filled with treasures, some with rare and exotic beasts, some with spiritual herbs and immortal stones, and some with natural magic treasures. Apart from this, the human emperor's body shrunk. The light was restrained and his aura was faintly discernible. This wasn't a decline in strength, but his strength had improved to a terrifying level, almost to the point of forming a physical body. Bang bang bang, in some places in the human realm, some people's bodies suddenly exploded, letting out miserable screams. Then, they turned into ashes and were judged by the heavenly Tao. Those were demons hiding in the human realm. They were already causing trouble, but they hadn't been found out. There were many people like this. The human realm was a mix of good and bad, and the power of the heavenly Tao was relatively weak. It couldn't compare to the heavenly will of the celestial world, martial world, demon world, and dragon world. There were people hiding in these worlds, let alone the human realm. In reality, although the human realm's laws were strict, there would always be parasites. For example, the sleeping god was a parasite. The heavenly will couldn't do anything about it. It was too big and difficult to investigate. Unfortunately, the heavenly will had strengthened again. Many hidden demons and bad people couldn't be found back then, but now they were found. All of them were punished by the heavenly will. At this time, it was the heavenly will's judgment. The heavenly will was very observant. Who should die and who shouldn't, it gathered a huge amount of data in an instant and stored it for the human realm's investigation. At this moment, the human realm regained its clarity and a wave of clear air shot up into the sky. The heavenly god was sacrificed. Although it wasn't a complete emperor, the good fortune jade plate's energy was all poured into the emperor's body. It was rare. No one could say for sure how much the heavenly deity had accumulated. Jiang Li only knew that when he sacrificed himself, a surge of energy was transmitted over. The 100 laws in his body were all stirring, as though a chain reaction was about to occur. Originally, 3 laws had condensed into 100 million runes, but now there were even more laws to condense. Bang, 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 there were 7 or 8 consecutive explosions. Jiang Li had a total of 8 laws turn into runes. These 8 laws were the Heaven Creation Law, Heaven Light Law, Heaven Creation Law, Heaven Illumination Law, Heaven Mystery Law, Heaven Calm Law, Heaven Calm Law, and the last law was the Heavenly Tao Law. The first 7 laws were the Heavenly Father's 7 secret. The Heavenly Father used 7 days to create the world, and the Heavenly Tao Law was one of the Great Dream 9 seals. 9 by 9 Supremes. The 8 laws had all turned into 100 million runes. Jiang Li's cultivation increased rapidly. If this continued, the 100 laws would soon turn into 100 million runes. When they completely turned into 100 million runes, his infinite Great Tao would be on par with the Great Tao of Destiny. As the creator, his strength surpassed Wan Qianqiu's by more than 100 times. Of course, breaking fate would gain even more. Jiang Li suspected that as long as he could break fate and cultivate 101 laws, he would immediately be on par with the great monarchs. His body was filled with energy and the runes were perfect. Jiang Li looked at the disappearing heavenly deity and heaved a sigh of relief. This time, he had obtained too many things. Not only did the human world expand again, but the power of the great monarch had also increased. Now, even great Dream Crown Prince would have a hard time invading. However, this was only a small matter. Sacrificing a heavenly deity was incomparable to sacrificing a real great monarch. So you are the reincarnation of a mortal execution, great emperor. Luo Feng's eyes shone brightly as she looked at Hua Immortal Slayer. This is great. We don't even need to subdue great Emperor Immortal Slayer. We just need to nurture Hua Immortal Slayer and awaken his ancient memories. Then we'll be able to suppress the ancient heavenly court. I think Hua Xianzhu needs to calculate all 4 Dao of immortal execution and turn them into the great Dao King. Only then can he pass the test and obtain his own power. Jiang Li said, if that's the case, desolate god, take out all the divination opportunities from the good fortune jade disc. Chapter 778. The desolate god definitely had many chances to use the good fortune jade disc to calculate and attack. He had used it once during his battle with Jiang Li. This time, it was swallowed, so he didn't use it again. However, he couldn't just use it once. He had controlled the chaos prison for so many years and stirred up fights among the demonic god. How could he not accumulate enough? How many demonic gods were in the chaos prison? How many benefits could he generate every day? This time, since Jiang Li captured the desolate god, he naturally wanted to squeeze him dry. He grabbed the pagoda contract on the desolate god's body. Then, he turned his infinite world aura into a piece of clothing and covered the desolate god's body. Desolate god, your pagoda contract is in my hands. I used the infinite world sphere's aura to stop the third dimension universe's heaven's will from killing you. In other words, everything is under my control. Your life is in my hands. Jiang Li said, if you want the Immortal Towers system and the Good Fortune Jade Disc to calculate, I can give them to you. The desolate god had aged a lot. He knew he couldn't resist, so he said, I have managed the chaos prison for many years. I have a lot of wealth. Since you need it, take it all. The winner is the king and the loser is the thief. Don't pretend to be hypocritical. Luo Feng said coldly, if not for the fact that you are still useful, I would have sacrificed you to the human world like the heavenly gods. All right, let's split the system's calculation and the good fortune jade disc's calculation equally. Jiang Li said, quickly transfer it to us. Luo Feng forced the desolate god. The desolate god was helpless. He could only resign himself to fate. He actually has 9 calculation chances and 6 good fortune jade discs attack chances. He has accumulated so much. Jiang Li received the transfer. He took the Immortal Tower's Star Domain microchip and looked at it. He was instantly overjoyed. He grabbed and tore a passage that connected to the Immortal Tower's Star Domain, allowing the system's power to be transferred over. Start calculating. ZZZZ. Everyone got 2 chances to attack with the Good Fortune Jade Disc and 3 chances to calculate. Jiang Li could convert the opportunity of the Good Fortune Jade Disc's attack into vital qi empowerment, allowing himself to advance again. Hua Zhuxian could turn the other great Daos into the king of great Daos. As for Luo Feng, he would definitely succeed in combining the 3 Daos. However, the sleeping god didn't seem to need it. He watched from afar. The desolate god wasn't captured by him, and the heavenly god wasn't killed by him. It was Hua Zhuxian who killed him. Therefore, he didn't deserve it. Moreover, he knew that he and the great Dream Crown Prince were enemies with Luo Feng. They had also set up all kinds of chess games in the human world. He and Jiang Li were just cooperating, and they didn't really become friends of life and death. Sleeping God, come over and take charge of the formation. We will combine all the calculation powers and form a large formation. We will display the divine powers of the 5 great sovereigns again. Desolate God, don't feel pity. This time, you will also get a share of the benefits. Since you are my man, I won't let you suffer any losses. If you are obedient, you will be 1,000 times better than being under the immortal tower's master. You successfully rescued the martial Tao ancestor Ba Liming. That would be a great contribution. The human world is fair in rewards and punishments. By then, you will definitely become a great sovereign. Jiang Li was slowly setting up a large formation. Are you serious? The desolate God had hope. You know the order of the human world. The heavenly God was stubborn, so he was refined. Now, the human world has become a great sovereign with unparalleled power. If we manage to save Ba Liming and cooperate with Wang Chao, we will be able to destroy the Immortal Tower's star region and the universe's brain star region in an instant. Jiang Li said confidently. The desolate God knew that Wang Chao and Ba Liming had become a great threat to the 2 Holy Lands. The desolate God was well aware of this point. Wang Chao and Ba Liming had already become a great threat to the 2 Holy Lands. If they were not careful, they would be possessed. If these 2 were not eliminated, then the human realm would indeed have the capital to contend for the number 1 position in the universe. The great formation has been formed, Luo Feng said. Then let's activate it together. Jiang Li occupied the center, while Hua Zhu Xian, the sleeping god, Luo Feng, and the desolate god occupied the foreside. Once again, the formation of the 5 sovereigns sacrificing chaos was formed. Without a doubt, Jiang Li's potential could completely surpass that of a great sovereign. Needless to say, Luo Feng's potential definitely surpassed that of the Soul Sovereign. The desolate god had accumulated for many years and had the potential of a great sovereign. The sleeping god had already comprehended the great sovereign's Tao. Needless to say, Hua Zhu Xian was the reincarnation of great sovereign immortal slayer. The potential of the 5 of them was equivalent to the 5 sovereigns sacrificing chaos. This formation was a great sacrifice. Activate. Under Jiang Li's command, a vast power was transmitted. It was the Immortal Tower's system and the Fortune Jade Disk's calculation. The attack energy turned into a mysterious aura that shrouded the sky. Many people were intoxicated by this aura. The 5 of them worked together to activate it. Their thoughts cooperated with each other and circulated their cultivation experience. Jiang Li and Luo Feng obtained the memories of the 5 sovereigns. This way, Hua Zhu Xian, the desolate god, and the sleeping god all benefited greatly. Of course, Jiang Li also vaguely obtained some of the mysteries of great sovereign immortal slayer from Hua Zhu. As the 5 of them worked together, the surging heavenly Daos spread everywhere, seemingly changing the situation. 3 Daos into 1. Luo Feng was the first to complete the grand feat of combining 3 Daos into 1. Fortune, Primordial, and Primordial Daos transformed abruptly. The 3 Daos into 1 turned into a brand new Grand Tao. This Grand Tao had no name. It hung above her head, and also had 100 nomological laws, 99 of which had 100 million runes. It was only 1 rune away from the Destiny Grand Tao. Luo Feng's eyes pierced through the sky. She tried to make a breakthrough and stand shoulder to shoulder with the Destiny Grand Tao, but that rune couldn't take form. But with the 3 Daos as 1, her battle prowess increased by many times. The 3 Daos as 1 were also blessed with great karma. Although it wasn't as much as the boundless Grand Tao, it was enough to change Luo Feng's constitution and everything else. Jiang Li's boundless Grand Tao couldn't compare to the Destiny Grand Tao, but he was stronger than Wan Qianqiu. This was because he was the founder. Founders not only had a deep understanding of the Grand Tao, but the moment they succeeded, the ancient primordial chaos would bless them, transforming their bodies and making them even stronger. This wasn't something Yuan Qianxiu could compare to. He was like the founding emperor of an empire. He was a man of great talent and bold vision. No future emperor could compare to him. Although Luo Feng wasn't the founder, he was the leader of a resurgence. By combining the three Daos as one, he could also obtain a blessing. As for Yuan Qianxiu, he had inherited destiny. Although his bloodline was noble, he didn't have the spirit of a founder. The vast system was activated, and the power of fortune flowed in all directions. Jiang Li also received a baptism, and the nomological laws in his body began to transform. At first, only 11 of them had transformed into 100 million runes. But now there was a chain reaction and 50 of them had transformed into 100 million runes. Half of them had surpassed the realm of the great Tao monarch and were evolving into the king of the great Tao monarchs. Hua Zhuxian's body moved slightly, and the immortal End Great Tao and immortal Slayer Great Tao in his body became the king of the great Tao. Becoming a king with 4 Daos seemed to have comprehended many things, and some ancient memories were unlocked. As for the desolate god, he condensed a trace of the great emperor's aura. As for the god of sleep, other than being a little stronger, there wasn't any qualitative change. Now, the god of sleep wanted to improve, and that was to become a great emperor. But becoming a great emperor was easier said than done. Such a small baptism couldn't possibly succeed. Very good. Next is to condense all the nomological laws into 100 million runes, and stand shoulder to shoulder with the Destiny Grand Tao. Jiang Li checked his own cultivation and was very happy. Luo Feng couldn't condense all the runes into 100 million, but he was different. He was confident that he could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Destiny Grand Tao. In his eyes, the Destiny Grand Tao had long since seen through its mysteries. He had the wisdom of the 5 emperors, the bloodline of the Heavenly Father, the bloodline of Yuanshi, and the bloodline of the Child of Destiny and the Child of Permith. Although his accumulation wasn't enough, he was only one step away. The grand formation calmed down. Hua Zhuxian was the first to speak, his tone cold and arrogant. That's right, I am Immortal Execution Great Emperor, the reincarnation of Immortal Execution Great Emperor. The moment I cultivated all 4 great Daos into the king of the great Tao, I recovered many of my memories. I left my power here, the power I lost. Now I need to get my power back. Not only that, I will also control the immortal magic lamp and restore the galaxy to its former glory. As expected, Jiang Li sighed. Restoring the past glory isn't realistic. Even if you are Immortal Execution Great Emperor, you have fallen for so many years, there will be many tribulations when you recover your power. Everyone, assist me. Hua Zhuxian said, I will not mistreat you. Once I recover my power, I will first help the human world become a true universe, and at the same time, help Luo Feng take the heavenly court. I will cooperate with the human world. We'll talk about that later. Jiang Li waved his hand. I want to see the true power of Immortal Execution Great Emperor. How did he fight against the 5 emperors of the heavenly court, the army of the immortal world, and the good fortune jade disc all by himself? As for the immortal magic lamp, let's leave it to fate. If it belongs to Immortal Execution Great Emperor, then forget it, but if it belongs to the human world, I will do my best. Wait. Sleeping God said, I think it's better to capture the desolate god and go to the Immortal Tower's galaxy first to release the demon gods in the Chaos Prison. My wife and daughter must be safe, I can't wait anymore. Besides, you can also save Ba Liming. As long as the martial Tao ancestor Ba Liming comes out, what can't he do? Please don't. The desolate god said in panic, although I control the Chaos Prison, I can only do business in there and squeeze those demon gods, I can't release them. I have even more powerful envoys above me, if they find out, I will be dead. Moreover, the Chaos Prison is in the center of the Immortal Tower's galaxy. If anything happens, They will be the first to know, and the system will not let me go. I think we should find enough treasures here. I think it's good for Immortal Execution Great Emperor to recover his power. Once he recovers, our chances will be much higher. Chapter 779. The origami revealed its strength and its ability to control itself. After careful analysis, Jiangli realized that it was indeed not the best choice to release Ba Liming right now. That was because the surveillance in the prison was too strict. Even the origami could not act recklessly. Now that everyone's strength was not enough, barging into the prison would only lead to death. For example, Grandmaster Mental Demon was no weaker than the Soul Emperor. If he really attacked, Jiangli would definitely not survive. Therefore, it was better to find treasures here and increase their strength again. Originally, Jiangli came here to find the eternal ancient well. Once he obtained it, he would immediately become a Buddha and stand at the top of the world without anyone. Moreover, with Hua Xianzhu's fate, the chances of finding the immortal magic lamp was higher. As long as Hua Xianzhu regained his identity as the Immortal Execution Great Emperor, everything would be possible. Of course, Jiangli was also worried that after Hua Xianzhu regained his identity as the Immortal Execution Great Emperor, he would steal the spotlight. Just now, Hua Xianzhu said that he wanted the immortal magic lamp, and Jiangli had already decided that it was his. How could he give the immortal magic lamp to someone else? Wanting the Immortal Execution Great Emperor to join the human realm? That was even more impossible. Who was the Immortal Execution Great Emperor? He was extremely strong and could break through everything. How could he be willing to join the human realm? However, Hua Xianzhu was a friend and not an enemy. Moreover, they were brothers, so Jiangli did not know how to arrange it. Brother Jiangli, I know your difficulties, but I will definitely not be the human realm's enemy. Hua Xianzhu seemed to have seen through Jiangli's thoughts. There are many enemies now and the future is uncertain, but we must work together now through thick and thin. Yes, regardless of whether you are the Immortal Execution Great Emperor or not, we are still brothers. Jiangli laughed. Come, let's go. The five of them walked side by side and entered the depths of the immortal magic lamp Starfield. While the five of them were discussing important matters, preparing the treasures and giving birth to the Immortal Execution Great Emperor, there was an even more important discussion in the immortal realm. Heavenly Court. On the Good Fortune throne, Demeng Crown Prince sat on it steadily. At this moment the entire Heaven Court was quiet. Although there were many places where the restrictive spells had not been broken, and he had not truly controlled the Heaven Court, he had already gathered many of his ministers to set up camp outside the Heaven Court. Now, people were boiling and great luck was gathering. The only flaw was that the group of heroic spirits in the celestial heavens refused to surrender unless they were offered sacrifices. This caused his subjects to be unable to enter the celestial heavens. In this way, he would not be able to return to the celestial heavens. However, he now had many Empyreans under his command. In addition, his cultivation was advancing day by day. He had waged war against the demon world and the netherworld realm, capturing many devils and imprisoning them. When the time came, he would carry out the great sacrifice. At that time, all rivers run into the sea and the world would be unified. The Child of the Evil Path's mission has been completed well. A dream realm appeared in his mind. Within the depths of the dream realm, the corrupt Path's child was sitting atop a coffin. That coffin emitted an extremely evil aura, as if it was the source of all evil. This was the most original magic treasure of the netherworld. It was equivalent to the Good Fortune Jade Disc of the immortal world and the heaven-defying divine axe of the demon world. However, the netherworld was extremely chaotic. The source of all evil had its own consciousness. It hid in the most dangerous and cursed places. Without fate, even a great emperor would die if they entered. Therefore, he could only rely on the fate of the corrupt path's child. De Meng Crown Prince's methods were tyrannical. He directly controlled the corrupt path's child and made him his. If there were any changes, he could make the corrupt path's child become his clone. The corrupt path's child has already found the coffin containing the source of all evil, but he hasn't subdued it yet. Once he does, the coffin will be mine and I will control the entire netherworld. At that time, I will make another plan. I will sacrifice the entire netherworld to the primordial chaos and hold the most powerful primordial sacrifice in history. At that time, not only will I be able to surpass the great emperor realm, I will also be able to make the entire immortal world ascend. I am the #1 person since the ancient times. He was secretly planning, calculating, and all kinds of things were incomparably comprehensive. Rumble. At this moment, 2 wills broke through the air and arrived. These 2 wills shocked the heaven and earth. Wherever they went, the immortal world's heavens will seem to retreat. The immortal tower, the master of the universe's brain. De Meng Crown Prince stood up abruptly. His whole body was working hard. He could see that only these 2 invincible beings had such strong wills in the world. In the past, there were countless great emperors and powerful beings. The master of the immortal tower and the master of the universe's brain didn't have such high statuses. But ever since the 5 emperors of the heavenly court fell, Yuanshi and the Heavenly Father died one after the other, and the jade plate of creation was taken away, some powerful beings went into hiding. The masters of the immortal tower and the universe's brain built holy lands and gathered fate. If it wasn't for the 2 holy lands being incompatible and fighting against each other, the entire world would have been theirs. Now, the 2 powerful beings had joined hands. What had happened? Were they going to start a war with the immortal world and devour it? De Meng Crown Prince hadn't completely unified the heavenly court. He couldn't resist the 2 powerful beings. However, the 2 powers didn't attack. Instead, they lingered above the heavenly court and suddenly showed themselves. They were a brain and a pagoda. The immortal tower and the universe's brain. Or rather, the Chaos Pagoda Demon and the Chaos Brain Demon. So, they're clones, not their real bodies. That's right. Their real bodies are suppressing the 2 invincible demons. The first is Wang Chao, the second is Ba Liming. It's hard to split their attention. Since that's the case, we're here today to negotiate. What kind of person was De Meng Crown Prince? He immediately understood what the 2 were here for. The immortal tower suddenly changed again. It turned into a middle-aged man wearing a mask. He was wearing luxurious clothes and stood in the sky. The heavenly court was under his feet. The universe's brain turned into a woman. She wore gray clothes and a veil. It was hard to tell whether she was happy or angry. Why did the masters of the 2 holy lands come to the heavenly court of the immortal world? Do you want to invade the immortal world? If that's the case, please tell me. In order to protect the immortal world, I can fight to the end. A dreamy eye appeared in the middle of Great Dream Crown Prince's eyebrows. Crown Prince Great Dream, it seems that you haven't become the lord of the celestial world yet. You don't even have control over the heavenly court. You don't have a legitimate title. You are much worse than your dead father. The owner of the brain of the universe let out an ear-piercing sound. It sounded like metal rubbing against each other, making people very uncomfortable. There's no need to mock me. You 2 aren't having a good time either. Someone inserted your trusted aides, causing a huge problem. Honestly speaking, are you here to negotiate with me? Although you guys are strong, you want to occupy the celestial world with just 2 incarnations? Do you really think the celestial world's heavens doesn't exist? Great Dream Crown Prince's words hit the nail on the head. He was not an ordinary person. We've already communicated with the heaven's will of the immortal world. We're willing to return the good fortune jade disc to the immortal world. The master of the immortal tower said, That's exactly why the heaven's will of the immortal world let us in. Otherwise, we would have to waste some effort. If our true bodies had come, the heavenly will of the immortal world wouldn't be able to do anything. If we return the good fortune jade disc to the immortal realm, the will of heaven will naturally reward us. For example, we can choose who is the son of the immortal world. The owner of the brain of the universe said, "Right now, the son of the immortal world is Luo Feng. But if we choose, she will be stripped of her status, and you will be the new son of the immortal world. Of course, if you don't listen, the son of the immortal world will be someone else." Humph! I, Great Dream Crown Prince, will not be threatened. Great Dream Crown Prince ignored the two Holy Lands masters and grasped the situation. Is it already at the climax? Wang Chao and Ba Liming are a complete threat to your safety. That's why you came together. But this is not your attitude. I know what you want to do. You want to use the power of the good fortune jade disc to kill Wang Chao and Ba Liming. If you don't borrow the power of the immortal world's heavenly court, you are afraid that they will control all the good fortune jade discs. So, after thinking about it, you chose this balanced method. You will lose the good fortune jade disc, but you can refine Wang Chao and Ba Liming. Great Dream Crown Prince knew that if the two of them worked together and activated the good fortune jade disc, the situation would be out of control. The owner of the brain of the universe might obtain the complete good fortune jade disc. Of course, the owner of the immortal tower might obtain it. The two of them didn't dare to casually combine it. They might as well return it to the immortal world and obtain the benefit. This is our deal with the immortal world's heaven's will. You can only submit. The owner of the brain of the universe said. Ha ha ha! Great Dream Crown Prince laughed. Do you really think I have no goods? In fact, I already have many demon gods. Now, I will sacrifice them to make the heavenly court mine. The immortal world's heavens can't interfere directly. On the contrary, I have merit to the heavens. It has to be fair. Your deal with the immortal world cannot bypass me. Don't be so harsh here. I have already seen through you. Great Dream Crown Prince, you are as difficult to deal with as the Heart Emperor. The owner of the immortal tower said, "All right, we don't want to be entangled with you. If you want to play, let's play big. Don't you want to carry out the great sacrifice? We will support you. We are prepared to sacrifice the brain of the universe, the immortal tower, all the great worlds, all the gods, and all the living beings. How about that?" What did you say? Great Dream Crown Prince almost jumped up. Are you crazy? Humph! How can you compare with us with that little scheme of yours? The owner of the brain of the universe said, "To carry out the great sacrifice of chaos, we must sacrifice something of value. We must return the myriad worlds to the primordial chaos. Only then can we surpass Yuanshi." You, Great Dream Crown Prince said, you are so vicious. You want to sacrifice the two Holy Lands. But even if you sacrifice the two Holy Lands, you can't return the myriad worlds to the primordial chaos. One step at a time. The two owners said at the same time, Great Dream Crown Prince, at least for now, we can support you to become the son of the immortal world, control the heavenly court, and return to the good fortune jade disc. How about that? Do you agree or not? I agree. Great Dream Crown Prince said without hesitation. Chapter 780. But before I agree, what benefits do you want to give us? For example, give me some support to start controlling the heavenly court? Become the master of the heavenly court, or turn me into the son of the celestial realm? Of course, Great Dream Crown Prince would not simply agree to the masters of the two Holy Lands. He wanted to extort something from them. Moreover, he even wanted to plot against the masters of the two Holy Lands. If he could devour the two incarnations in front of him, there would definitely be great benefit. Or he could directly sacrifice the two incarnations in front of him. The benefits of devouring were not as great as sacrificing. There was a limit to one's cultivation. After devouring, one would not be able to digest the power that was too strong. However, there was no limit to sacrificing. If he sacrificed to the heavens or to the ancient chaos and the heavens would increase his limit. This was the difference between sacrificing and devouring. If he could capture the two incarnations and sacrifice them to the heavenly court, there would be plenty of Aeon spirits left. Of course, Great Dream Crown Prince also knew that his idea was somewhat unrealistic. If the masters of the Immortal Tower and the brain of the universe were so easy to deal with, they would have been killed long ago. Of course we can help you control the heavenly court," the masters of the two Holy Lands said. "However, it is unrealistic for you to want to become the son of the celestial realm. The son of the celestial realm is determined by the heaven's will. It will not change easily. Unless you have great merit for the heaven's will, such as making the Fate Jade Plate return, you can change the heaven's will's mind in one fell swoop. Then forget it. If you can capture the son of the celestial realm and let me forcefully possess him, it will be easier for me than to obtain great merit. Forcefully going against the heaven's will also cause losses to the heaven's will. Moreover, I like the pleasure of conquering the son of the celestial realm." Great Dream Crown Prince's original idea was to first conquer the son of the evil path, then conquer the son of the celestial realm, the son of the martial world, the son of the dragon world. All the sons of the heavens would gather under his command and be trampled upon by him. That was his idea. "Very well, we'll sign an agreement with you right now to help you take control of the heavenly court. We've captured quite a few devil gods over the years. Once the agreement is signed, we'll send them over to you as sacrifices. Then you'll be able to take control of the heavenly court and sit firmly on the throne of good fortune. Otherwise, those ministers can only live outside the heavenly palace. They're practically kings of grass, with no status to speak of. I know that in the depths of the immortal world, there are grand emperors. They won't submit to you. They're still waiting for the son of the immortal world to become a grand emperor and turn the immortal world back into the heavenly world. They'll be able to accumulate great merit points and surpass the immortal world. You have to shatter their illusions and subjugate them as your subordinate. Only then will you have the capital to do many things. Of course, there are many hidden great emperors in the immortal world. They cannot be underestimated. This is also why you don't dare to attack the immortal world." Great Dream Crown Prince smiled. "These great emperors all lived in seclusion and refused to submit to my father. Naturally, they will not submit to me now. But I will use reality to prove how strong I am. It is a mistake for them not to submit to me. Come, what agreement do you want to sign? Tell me everything. We will sign the agreement now." "No problem. The agreement is simple. We will make a primordial oath together. No one can go back on their word." The two Holy Land leaders wrote a contract. "Hold on," Great Dream Crown Prince said. "You want the myriad realms to return to primal chaos, but I don't want that. I want to gather the myriad realms and turn them into the human realm. They will submit to me and everyone will be under my control. That kind of pleasure is not something you can understand." "Very good. Let's make a deal now. We will work together until the Jade Plate of Creation returns to the heavenly court. After we refine Wang Chao and Ba Liming, we will fight each other. Let's see if your heavenly court is stronger or our Holy Land is stronger." The two Holy Land leaders laughed. The three of them all had ulterior motives. Originally, they would not work together even if they died. However, Wang Chao and Ba Liming from the human realm made them realize that if they didn't join forces, they would most likely fall if this continued. However, after they resolved the crisis, they would still fight each other. None of them were easy to deal with. "Then let's do it this way. Our agreement will end when the Jade Plate of Creation returns to the heavenly court and you kill Wang Chao and Ba Liming. But I have a question. Those two are almost unkillable. If the jade plate of creation returns and cannot kill them, what will you do? Is our agreement still valid? Great Dream Crown Prince raised the most important point. Of course. The two Holy Land leaders said. Think about it. If you cannot kill them, do you think you can stay out of it? You have already participated in the plan to refine them. When they escape, they will not let you go. At that time, we will have to work together. That's true. Great Dream Crown Prince thought about it. He had to control the human world. Even if he had no enmity with Wang Chao and Ba Liming, when he became stronger, he would deal with them and refine them. The human world was his biggest problem. The three signed the agreement. The moment the agreement was signed, the qi was so strong that even the primordial chaos trembled slightly. The endless will of the celestial world was silent. At this moment, some great emperors hiding in the depths of the celestial world were also silent. But there was nothing they could do. They did not dare to come out and get involved in the karma. This matter involved too much. Ha 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 ha, the agreement is signed. Now we will help you control the heavenly court. Boom. The two Holy Land leaders opened a passageway. In the depths of the passageway, one could see many demons tied up. There were even angels, warriors, dragons, blood demons. These years, the two Holy Land had been fighting everywhere and had captured countless powerful beings. Make sacrifices and control the heavenly court. An altar appeared in the heavenly palace. Bring out the demon gods we captured. Great Dream Crown Prince roared. At the same time, an altar appeared outside the heavenly court. Many experts were tied up on it. Some were not gods, but they had cultivated dozens or even hundreds of great daos. These people's sacrifices were very valuable. Of course, there were also many experts with virtual godheads. Not to mention gods, even great Dao experts' sacrifices were good. Even sages' sacrifices could get a lot of things. But to control the heavenly court, many gods had to be killed and sacrificed. Now, some of the demon gods from the two Holy Lands and the experts Great Dream Crown Prince had captured these days formed a great sacrifice. It was barely enough. Some of the demon gods in the Immortal Tower's star field were drawn from the Chaos Prison. But most of them were other prisoners. They were not qualified to enter the Chaos Prison, but there were many of them. Let the sacrifice begin. Great Dream Crown Prince presided over the sacrifice. His voice shook every space and cave in the celestial world. The huge sacrifice started. Mighty heroic spirits' wills were transmitted from all directions, to be sacrificed to the ancient heroic spirits of the heaven court. Everyone, enjoy the blood food and be immortal. Great Dream Crown Prince chanted solemnly. All the sect's immortals chanted the incantation together. Then, the sky was filled with flying swords that beheaded the sacrifices. Countless sacrifices gave off bloody light and resentment, but they were all sent into the memorial tablets in the heavenly court. The ancient heroic spirits of the heavenly court cheered and said, "Worship us. You are the master of the heavenly court. Now we acknowledge you as the master of the heavenly court. All the heavenly palaces are open to you. We hope you will worship us again in the future." Rumble. The entire heavenly court shook. The huge heavenly palace shone brightly. The light gathered on the throne of creation. Great Dream Crown Prince felt boundless power. Ha ha! I'm finally the master of the heavenly court. I inherited my father's orthodoxy. This is how it should be. Great Dream Crown Prince enjoyed the power of glory. Now that his power was combined with the heavenly court, he could control the situation in a breath. He had almost reached another realm. The heavenly court was also a magic treasure. It was not inferior to the jade disk of creation. It was just that it could not be moved. Great Dream Crown Prince controlled the heavenly court. At least in the celestial world, he had almost invincible power. He fought everywhere, grasped justice, and had the title in his hands. celestial world, those hidden great emperors of yours, if you do not work for me and do not submit to me, I will give you one last chance. He issued a blatant ultimatum. Come here quickly and work for me. Otherwise, when I bring back the good fortune jade disc, gather the power of good fortune, and become a proud son of heaven, and control the celestial world, you won't have any chance. I will throw you all into prison, or capture you all for the primal chaos ritual. Outside the heavenly court, the immortals who had already submitted to great dream crown prince swarmed in and settled in the heavenly court. Suddenly, the heavenly court was bustling with noise. It showed the ancient style again. We will not return the jade disk of creation to its original position in a day. We must prepare well. The primal chaos sacrifice is also necessary. The masters of the two sacred lands said, Next, what you must do is to unite all the sects in the celestial world and restore order. This will strengthen your providence. Otherwise, you will not be able to withstand the return of the jade disk of creation. We cannot make any mistakes in this return. Of course, the instant the good fortune jade disk returned, the chi flow gathered. It was so powerful that even I couldn't endure it. Right now, I have to gather the power of all living beings and raise myself to the most powerful level. Only then can I achieve tremendous karma in one go. Great Dream Crown Prince knew his flaws. But he controlled the heavenly court and had the right to use the heavenly court's divine power to suppress. In a way, he surpassed the Heart Emperor. Although the Heart Emperor ruled the center, he was also one of the 5 emperors of the heavenly court. He had to discuss important matters with the other 4 emperors. Moreover, the Heart Emperor could not do whatever he wanted in the territories of the other 4 emperors. Great Dream Crown Prince was different. He controlled everything. The 5 emperors' palaces were all in one. He alone gathered the divine power and providence of the 5 directions. Even the heavenly court was under his control. His power was strengthened. Son of the celestial world, it is time to capture you and trample on you. Chapter 781. In the dark and ancient starry sky, in the three-dimensional universe, in the ruins of the immortal magic lamp star field, palaces larger than stars floated in the air. Other than that, there were also some skeletons that hadn't decayed, but had lost all their spiritual energy. This place was deathly silent, terrifying, and eerie. From time to time, vengeful spirits would float by. Among them, there were even vengeful spirits of gods. However, whenever a god's resentful spirit floated past, Jiangli would absorb it into his body with a single breath. Right now, he was the strongest. Although the sleeping god and the desolation god had both grasped the great emperor's Tao, Jiangli had hidden his strength very deeply. No one knew what kind of potential he would erupt with. Jiangli was getting stronger and stronger. The 50 laws in his body had all been refined to 100 million runes, and then he stimulated the other laws. Temple, envelop. The 5 of them passed by a temple. This temple was 3 times the size of a solar system. But under Jiang Li's grasp, the space-time where the temple was actually shrunk. The surroundings burned with raging flames, and the vengeful spirits within cried out. The vengeful spirits of 7 or 8 gods flew out, turning into demonic shadows that pounced on the group. Jiang Li's body moved, and with a wave of his sleeve, heaven and earth were instantly flipped upside down. Infinite divine fist, infinite origin, infinite creation, infinite truth, infinite bloodline, infinite martial Tao, infinite yin and yang, infinite Paramitha, infinite ideals, infinite spirit. He used infinite divine fist, and after 9 consecutive moves, he actually used the 10th move, infinite era. This move was him neutralizing everything, becoming the founder of an era. He would create a brand new era, a brand new era. Everything would be based on him, and he would be the pioneer. Whatever he said would be the truth. Before the 7 or 8 gods' vengeful spirits could pounce on him, they were shattered by his move. Then, with another grab, they were all absorbed into his body, and the essence blood and yuan qi in his body became even more vigorous. His body was no longer a small dimension of the universe, but a different era. The immemorial era, the medieval era, the modern era, the future, and even more distant future. This was the result of his transformation into a godly realm. In front of us is an endless darkness. It's even more dangerous. Rumor has it that not only will we encounter the resentment of celestial masters, but we will also encounter the resentment of great emperors. However, the true body of the immortal magic lamp is in there. If we can get it, we'll be lucky. My power is also around the immortal magic lamp. I can borrow its power to achieve immortality. He was beginning to understand where the power left behind by great Emperor Immortal Slayer was located. He had to obtain that power in order to regain his identity. Once he became Immortal Slayer Great Emperor, his memories would be restored, and his vision would be completely different from now. Let's go. Let's enter the darkness. Jiangli was bold and took the lead to enter. As expected, once they entered the depths of the darkness, they couldn't even see their own fingers. Actually, with their cultivation, even darkness was useless. They could still see everything clearly, but it was useless here. Even their primordial spirits were blinded, and when they released their wills, it was still eternal darkness. Everyone hurriedly wanted to turn back, but it was to no avail. There was only darkness behind them, and they couldn't find the way back. There's no turning back. Desolate God's voice was trembling. The desolate God's voice trembled. Unless we find the undying God lamp, we will be able to see through the darkness here. This is the darkest place in the third dimension. Even the great emperor cannot see through this darkness. From now on, we have to be careful. Activate the formation and connect with each other. We must not be separated. If we are separated, we will never be able to contact each other again. This is indeed the endless darkness. Jiangli secretly sensed the myriad worlds, but it was useless. He couldn't sense any coordinates, so naturally, he couldn't break through space. Oh no. At this moment, Luo Feng coughed out a mouthful of blood. What? Jiangli was shocked. He knew that something bad had happened. Did something happen in the immortal world? Yes, something big happened in the immortal world. Luo Feng's face was pale. The heavenly court is no longer under our control. We've completely lost contact. Even though I can't control the heavenly court, I'm still the son of the immortal world. The heavenly court's origin still recognizes me, and I can walk freely in the heavenly court. Now, the heavenly court has fallen into someone else's hands. It's Crown Prince Demeng. He held a sacrifice and took control of the heavenly court. Damn it, Jiangli thought. They really did hold a sacrifice. But there's nothing we can do now. Come, let's continue forward. Huaxian Zhu seemed to know that there was power ahead. Once I recover my power, we can attack the heavenly court again and take back what we lost. Very well. Jiang Li's body shone with a faint light. Be careful. The everlasting magic lamp Starfield collapsed here. They created the everlasting well and caused the explosion, turning this place pitch black. This place might be connected to the mysterious primordial chaos. Other than some vengeful spirits, there might also be primordial creatures, such as Fortune King beasts. They might not be as strong as the Grand Emperors, but they'll be hard to deal with. Jiangli, can you still sense the human world? Or use the power of the Grand Emperors? Luo Feng asked. I can't, but I entered many palaces and killed the vengeful spirit. They're stored in my body, ready to be used at any time. They're my trump cards. Jiangli said, also, it's not a bad thing that I can't contact the Grand Emperors. In such a dangerous environment, I can train myself, improve my Dao skills, and step into the strongest realm. The five continued forward. Woo 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 woo. The wailing of ghosts and wailing of gods could be heard from all directions. All of a sudden, a claw reached out toward the 5 of them. The claw was covered with scales, and between the gaps were green fur. It was a terrifying sight, and as it closed in, godliness surged out like an attack from a celestial. So, it's not the vengeful spirits of gods, but a primal chaos beast. Jiang Li circulated his limitless bloodline. Others couldn't see through the darkness, but he could see through a little. In the depths of the endless darkness, there was an ancient beast that was several light years in size floating up and down. It wasn't one of the beasts from the primal chaos energy. The beasts from the primal chaos energy were born of it, and their bloodlines weren't pure. But this beast was born of primal chaos palea energy. Primal chaos palea energy was completely different from waste. It was like the difference between delicious food and feces. Although the feces were transformed from delicious food, the essence was lost. Therefore, the beasts born of primal chaos palea energy were many times stronger than the beasts born of waste. Years ago, the everlasting well in the undying magic lamp planetary system had successfully drawn primal chaos palea energy from the depths of the void. Unfortunately, it had encountered a backlash from the will of primal chaos, which had resulted in a massive explosion. Boundless primal chaos palea energy had then transformed into all sorts of beasts that could devour God Spirit. Primal chaos palea energy could transform into all sorts of things. It could transform into dimensional universes, mountains, rivers, medicinal pills, magical treasures, humans, and even God spirits. That was primal chaos palea energy, something that the mortal world could only dream of. The god power of this primal chaos beast was even greater than that of a celestial. Its claws were powerful enough to slap all 5 of them to death. Jiang Li wasn't even close to being able to defend himself. However, Jiang Li simply put his palms together, and his entire body became a stream of data that entered the primal chaos beast. Sleep God, use your grand dream archdevil art to trap this primal chaos beast. I'll take control of its soul. Everyone, activate the spell formation and give me a hand. Shockingly, Jiang Li was controlling the beast's soul. The sleep god vanished, transforming into a stream of dreams that began to wreak havoc. The primal chaos beast didn't know what was happening, but its vital energy suddenly calmed down, and it began to fall asleep. The 5 of them working together could unleash heaven-shaking, earth-shattering power. Even a grand emperor would be able to defend against them. That was especially true of the sleep god, who was very close to being a grand emperor, and was adept at the Tao of sleep. Even experts in the same level as him would fall into his trap if they weren't careful. Hush! The primal chaos beast let out a loud snore, and then fell asleep under Jiang Li's control. Jiang Li's body began to transform, and the primal chaos beast began to shrink. From its original size of a few light years, it began to shrink until it was the same size as Jiang Li. Primal chaos flames burned, and Jiang Li's body returned to normal. However, the primal chaos beast was gone. A primal chaos beast that was as strong as a celestial had been reduced to nothing. Jiang Li's cultivation base seemed to have grown even stronger. You! The sleep god blurted. You used the primal chaos beast as a catalyst to ignite the primal chaos flames and gain enlightenment of its profundities. I can't believe you turned yourself into a well of eternity and connected to primal chaos palea energy. Not even the owner of the undying god lamp would have dared to do something like that. As it turned out, when Jiang Li had used the primal chaos beast to assimilate it, he had actually turned himself into a well of eternity. He was the well of eternity, and would be able to absorb an endless stream of primal chaos palea energy. What kind of boldness was that? Back in the day, the undying god lamp planetary system had been created. When Jiang Li had gained enlightenment of the well of eternity in the immortal world's heavenly court, he had come up with the idea of turning himself into a well. Unfortunately, his cultivation base had been too low back then, and he hadn't even mastered the great Tao of unbounded infinity. Now that he had mastered the great Tao of unbounded infinity, his vision was completely different from before, and he was able to turn the impossible into the possible. Not bad, Zhongli said. This is the boldness of cultivation. I was born different. Right now, my bloodline is unique, Zhongli said. Just now, when I took control of this ancient beast, I searched its memories, and found the location of the remains of the ancient well of eternity that was created after the great explosion, as well as the information. Let's go there right now. As long as I can get those information, I'll be able to gain enlightenment of something that no one has ever been able to do since ancient times, and that is to transform myself into a primal chaos ancient well. At the same time, I'll surpass the great Tao of fate. That's my chance. Unfortunately, your body will explode, Luo Feng said. You can't afford to take that risk. Chapter 782. Don't worry. Without danger, there's no such thing as great achievements. I've come this far precisely because I've never thought of it before. Jiang Li's confidence was unshakable. He was in a very comfortable state. It seems I'll soon be able to comprehend the true meaning of primordial chaos and the 11th move of the infinite divine fist, infinite primordial chaos. Amazing. I'm impressed, Hua Zhuxian said. Even if I became great sovereign immortal slayer, I wouldn't dare to try this. This courage is equivalent to challenging primordial chaos. I hope you succeed. If you succeed, you'll be able to topple an entire era. You've unlocked many memories, so you should know where the secret of the eternal well is, Jiangli said. It should be near the everlasting God lamp. As long as I can find the lamp itself, everything will be solved. Alright. A series of sounds came from Jiang Li's body, as if more runes were being born. These runes were the final foundation of the 100 million runes. He had 10 more of them. Of the 100 laws of the infinite Grand Tao, 60 had turned into 100 million runes. His strength had increased again, but he still needed to work hard. Before he could break the destiny of the king among kings, all of this was insignificant. Swish. His body radiated light as he flew forward, piercing through the pitch-black sky. But then, the darkness enveloped him, preventing the light from penetrating through. Everyone hurriedly followed. Gradually, the darkness thinned. Vaguely, a lamp could be seen in the distance. That was the true body of the undying God lamp. Only the undying God lamp could illuminate this dark region. That's the everlasting God lamp up ahead. We finally found it, Luo Feng said happily. But then, her expression froze. In front of her, there were countless primal chaos beasts swimming about, swallowing, spitting, and absorbing. It was as if they had fallen into the most savage of kingdoms. Jiang Li stopped as well. We've fallen into the headquarters of the primordial beast. This must be the most ferocious place in the universe. There were primal chaos beasts everywhere, and they weren't like the ones found in the wastelands. They were primal chaos beasts that could rival gods. They were born of primal chaos palea energy. This is a good opportunity for us, Hua Immortal Slayer said. Let's charge in and kill them. Killed? The Wild's God said. That's an endless horde of primal chaos beasts. Most of them are like gods, unkillable and indestructible. If they all come at us, we won't stand a chance. A fierce tiger was no match for a pack of wolves. There were as many primal chaos beasts as there were hairs on a cow, and they were all godly existences. Even a grand emperor would be helpless against them. Apart from that, there were also some spirits among them. Jiang Li could even feel the aura of a great emperor. In the past, there had been several grand emperors in the undying God lamp Starfield. In addition to the master of the lamp, there had been Grand Emperor Immortal Slayer, as well as other grand emperors. Later on, the Starfield had exploded, and countless people had entered to search for treasures. Even grand emperors had entered. Over the course of billions of years, grand emperors had perished, much less celestials. Some of those gods had perished, while others had become vengeful spirits. With so many primal chaos beasts, we have no choice but to plot something in secret. Jiang Li's eyes flickered. Thankfully, the sleeping god and I can join forces and transform into a giant dream. Mental attacks and energy attacks are temporarily ineffective against us. I'm just worried that we might run into an Emperor-level vengeful spirit or an Emperor-level primordial chaos beast. That would be more than enough to shatter our dream. Look, the Wilds god said, the primal chaos beasts are fighting each other. Maybe we can use that to our advantage. I can already sense the power left behind by Grand Emperor Immortal Slayer, Hua Immortal Slayer said. But there are some vengeful spirits of Grand Emperor Immortal Slayer and other Emperor-level beasts around, trying to devour my power. If I try to absorb it, I might just end up helping someone else. We can't get close to the center. Look at the undying god lamp. Jiang Li pointed off into the distance. There are so many powerful entities gathered around the undying god lamp that I can sense primal chaos palea energy flowing out to nourish the beast. Now I know that this is the most dangerous place in the entire third dimension. It's even more dangerous than the primal chaos dungeon. That's right. This place has experienced unprecedented tribulations. Hua Zhuxian said, if this place wasn't dangerous, it would have been explored by others long ago. Would we even have a chance? Look at those densely packed ancient beasts. Not even a great emperor can enter. Let's join forces and cultivate a spell formation. Jiang Li's forehead glowed with wisdom. I'll use the Tao of Infinity to light an infinity lamp. I hope it can connect with the undying god lamp and borrow its power. You can do that? Hua Immortal Slayer seemed to be meeting Jiang Li for the first time. Nothing is impossible with the Tao of Infinity. The undying god lamp is ownerless and you're the fated one. I'm using your fate to set up a plan. Besides, the power of the undying god lamp is similar to the power of the martial, immortal, demon, and dragon worlds. We can definitely communicate with it. Even if we can't, the five of us need to be connected as one. That's the only way we can do things here. Jiang Li said. Alright. Luo Feng said, there are 5 of us here. You, me, Hua Immortal Slayer, the Desolate God, and the Sleeping God. Then, the formation of the 5 of them turned into a faintly discernible light. Infinity lamp. Chapter 783. When the 5 of them truly joined forces, they transformed into an infinitely bright lamp. This lamp was formed from Jiang Li's comprehension of the undying god lamp, and it reflected the true undying god lamp in the distance. It was neither an illusion nor reality. It was not spiritual, not material, and definitely not the void. Instead, it was an existence similar to knowledge and information. Jiang Li's great dream wasn't that powerful. Now that he had imparted the boundless grand Tao to everyone, Hua Immortal Slayer's memories had also imparted it to everyone. This way, everyone's cultivation base would rise infinitely. Not only that, but Jiang Li also imparted the memories of the 5 emperors to everyone. This wasn't the time to hide it. They had to work together to survive and kill the primal beasts. Killing the primal beasts here could not only turn them into primal chaos palea energy, but also innate psychic energy. If they could kill some celestial-level primal chaos beasts, they would strike it rich. Jiang Li could even open a path to the mortal world and return the power of a mortal emperor. But now that the 5 of them had turned into the infinity lamp, their offensive power was not something a single person could compare to. Jiang Li's infinity formation was transmitted to everyone's hearts. The infinity lamp flickered and suddenly flew out. The primal chaos beast that was roughly equivalent to a true god didn't react at all. It disappeared into thin air. Killing a true god was that simple. The other primal chaos beasts didn't notice anything amiss. It was as if the primal beast that disappeared was still there. Not only that, they didn't see any infinity lamp. That was because the infinity lamp formed by the 5 of them didn't exist in the material world or the void world. It was in an inexplicable state. Unless it was a great emperor, no one would know how they died. The primal chaos beast that was attacked was in a dream, and so were the other primal beasts. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The infinity lamp continued forward, killing one primal beast after another. These primal beasts didn't know they were dead, and the surrounding primal beasts didn't know either. They were still stuck in the memory of not being killed. The 5 of them became infinity lamps, and their strength increased greatly. After killing dozens of primal beasts that were equivalent to true gods, they felt full of essence energy. Even if they killed more, they wouldn't be able to absorb it. If they couldn't, they could only sacrifice it. Jiangli, we can't absorb the vital energy of these ancient beasts. We can't accumulate it. I feel like we should start offering sacrifices. Who should we sacrifice? Luo Feng transmitted her divine will to Jiangli. The human world, of course. Or the immortal world. Jiangli said, now that the celestial world is under the control of Crown Prince Demeng, you sacrificing yourself would only benefit him. Moreover, he would also know your whereabouts, so why bother? The human world is our foundation. Can you communicate with the human world now? Luo Feng asked. We can barely communicate with it, but we can't borrow its power. However, we can offer sacrifices to transmit our power to it. Jiangli said, everyone offers sacrifices to the human world, and the human world will eventually give back its power. Bang! The infinity lamp exploded. It was a burst of sparks. Then, all the essence of the ancient beasts was transmitted to the human world, but there was no feedback. The human realm. The great emperor of the human realm received an infusion of power, but the feedback was unable to open up the passageway, causing a non-circulation of energy. He could only store it. Dream Kite and the others were the first to receive the news. She immediately called for a meeting. Everyone, I have received news that Jiang Li and the others have entered an ancient and mysterious galaxy in search of the everlasting magic lamp. That is one of the most dangerous places in the 3D universe. I know that place, Jiang Wangu said. Ever since the Big Bang, that place has been filled with primal chaos palea energy, giving birth to countless primal chaos beasts. There are even space-time distortions there. According to the rumors, it is a place bordering primal chaos and the 3D universe. The primal chaos beasts don't have great daos, so they aren't bound by the 3D universe. But they are very strong, some even comparable to the great emperor. Countless experts have gone there to explore, only to be killed. Of course, some lucky ones have found treasures. Jiang Luangu was the reincarnation of the ancient chaos halberd, so he knew many ancient secrets. Jiang Miaoshu added, I've been there with Emperor Chang Xing before. It's very mysterious. Emperor Chang Xing encountered an extremely ancient chaos beast called the Chaos Year Beast. They fought, but neither of them gained the upper hand. Therefore, Emperor Chang Xing retreated. After all, although Emperor Chang Xing has an ancient secret technique that can temporarily deceive the three-dimensional universe's heaven's will, he can't sneak in for too long. If he is exposed, he will be crushed by the three-dimensional universe. Jiang Miaoshu was the reincarnation of the Tree of Seven Wonders, a treasure of Great Emperor Chang Xing. Great Emperor Chang Xing had been to the 3D universe, and had even died there. Great Emperor-level characters more or less had some secret techniques that allowed them to sneak in without being detected by the third-dimension universe. However, they could only protect themselves and couldn't establish a great cause. They had to be very careful, like street rats, and seal their power. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start a war. Meng Ziyuan said, time waits for no man. Firstly, it's to temper the combat prowess of our human realm's experts. Secondly, it's to capture some disobedient existences, devils, and use them as sacrifices. We also need to hold the Primal Chaos Ritual to support Jiangli at any time. Primal Chaos Ritual? Lil Empress shook her head. I'm afraid that won't work. The Primal Chaos Ritual requires a great emperor to preside over it, and not just one. Who knows how many demon gods will be sacrificed? Even the immortal world needed a long time to prepare for the Primal Chaos Ritual. We don't need to hold a Primal Chaos Ritual, just a minor one. Dream Paper Kite seemed to have a card up her sleeve. For a world to complete, advance, and establish its prestige, we must hold a major sacrificial ceremony. For example, when an emperor inherits the throne, they must offer sacrifices to the heavens and their ancestors. When a clan leader is in power, they must also offer sacrifices to their ancestors. For a world to advance, they must offer sacrifices to the primal chaos. We can hold a minor primal chaos ritual. The first reason is to eradicate some of the powers that pose a threat to us. For example, in the Milky Way galaxy, there are several worlds that have begun to establish similar trading centers and business platforms. We can attack them then. Indeed, the human world was overflowing with wealth. Large amounts of resources flowed into the Milky Way galaxy. Just the commission alone was enough for the people of the human world to live in wealth for generations to come. How many transactions were there every day? Such a prosperous and flourishing business was naturally followed by others. Currently, some great worlds such as the Thunder World and the Blood World were establishing trading centers. Not only were they secretly competing with the human world for business, they were also secretly robbing and doing some illegal things. Dream Kite had long wanted to plunder the human world. Now the time was right. She needed to capture experts in preparation for the minor ritual. In the blink of an eye, the human world was in full swing. Not only that, but the higher echelons of the human world had also acquired the memories of Grand Emperor Immortal Slayer. The Deathless Godlamp was the most dangerous place in the world. The 5 of them transformed into infinity lamps that flickered with light as they focused on killing the weaker primal chaos beasts. In fact, they didn't even bother with celestial-level beasts. Instead, they went for true god and ancestor god beasts. That way they could kill them quickly and quickly. Jiangli, your infinity spell formation is really amazing. We're killing so many primal chaos beasts that we're not surrounded. Luo Feng looked around at the godlike primal chaos elder beasts around her, and her scalp went numb. If they find out, they'll attack us like a swarm of bees. Do you think we'll be dead? Some of the primal chaos elder beasts had created their own dimension to sleep in. Some were breathing, some were mating, some were fighting, and some were killing and devouring each other. In fact, there were even some that were gathering the weaker ones to help them set up spell formations. Primal chaos beasts were intelligent. Furthermore, they were far more intelligent than the primal chaos beasts in the wastelands. Some of them could even create out-of-body incarnations with multiple lives, making them virtually unkillable. The 5 of them were like hunters in the middle of a herd of beasts. If their auras leaked out, they'd be cut to pieces. Thankfully, they'd already killed over 100 true god-level primal chaos beasts, and had provided enough quintessence energy to the human world without being discovered. Jiangli, Luo Feng said, I think we need to increase our cultivation bases. Sacrificing the primal chaos beasts like this won't do us any good. I've been thinking about the same thing, Jiangli said. After killing the primal chaos beasts, we've already absorbed enough power to fill our bodies, and we don't even know who to sacrifice it to. Sacrifice it to the primal chaos beasts? That would cause too much of a commotion, and the primal chaos ritual wouldn't be easy to hold. There's a powerful entity we can sacrifice to, the god of sleep said. What is it? Jiangli asked. The will of the three-dimensional universe, the god of sleep said. The god of sleep said, if a god wants to go into the three-dimensional universe and not be punished, it's very simple. All you have to do is kill another god, or use primal chaos paleo energy as a sacrifice. Generally speaking, killing a true god and sacrificing it will allow another true god to travel through the three-dimensional universe for a period of 10,000 worlds years. A myriad worlds year was equivalent to an Earth year. I've neglected this point. Jiang Li suddenly remembered that the strongest heavenly will wasn't the will of an immortal world, but the true will of the three-dimensional universe. In fact, it was even stronger than the will of the myriad worlds put together. Furthermore, he knew how to sacrifice it. In the memories of the ancient 5 emperors of the heavenly court, there was a method to sacrifice the will of the three-dimensional universe. Otherwise, Grand Emperor Soul and Grand Emperor Everlasting Life wouldn't have been able to enter. Of course, Jiang Li didn't need to sacrifice it to get a place to stay, but to increase his power. He hadn't sacrificed the will of the three-dimensional universe before, so he didn't know how it would work. This time, he was going to give it a try. Who knew, he might get some unexpected results. Chapter 784. As far as he could remember, many powerful existences offered sacrifices to the third universe's heaven's will in exchange for the right to reside there. Those who wished to gain power were few and far between. Because the third universe's heaven's will was unique, there was a chance that it wouldn't respond even if you sacrificed yourself. It wasn't like the immortal world or martial world's heaven's will, which would grant all requests and exchange energy. It wasn't because the third universe's heaven's will was evil, but because the third universe was boundless. The heaven's will couldn't respond to it one by one. But if a powerful existence was sacrificed, there would be an immediate response. Let's capture a few true god-level primal chaos beasts and sacrifice them to see what happens, the Desolation God said. According to the ancient records, the immortal world's third universe's heaven's will cause a huge commotion if it responds. We shouldn't alarm the powerful existences. That's true. Let's give it a try. Jiang Li aimed at a few rooster-like primal chaos beasts, and the unbounded brightness lamp floated over, sealing them in a small dimension. They couldn't move at all, and they lost their will. Then, the primal beasts started burning. Jiang Li started offering sacrifices to the third universe's heaven's will according to the ancient records. O Archaic 3, you are the originator of all worlds and the terminator of all worlds. You are the tomb of the legion of gods, and you are also the restrictive one. Therefore, we lowly beings would like to offer sacrifices to you. We would like to sacrifice primal chaos elder beasts in hopes that you will respond and help us improve our cultivation bases. Jiang Li used his spirit to communicate with the three-dimensional universe. Immediately, his spirit expanded infinitely. The vast starry sky appeared in front of him, flickering incessantly. It was unknown how many star domains appeared, it was endless. His mind was on the verge of exploding. This was true infinity. Infinity Milky Way, infinite transformations, infinite heaven's will. The third universe. Even sovereigns and existences beyond that couldn't be calculated by Yuanshi. The immortal world was limited, but the astral world was infinite. When Jiang Li offered sacrifices to communicate with heaven's will, he had to endure the pain of the Milky Way's transformation. Infinity Milky Way. He activated his infinite great Tao, and after an unknown period of time, the river of stars suddenly disappeared, and in its place was a ball of light that hung above all the stars. That ball of light was the third dimension universe's heaven's will. It was also the true Tao, or rather, the origin. This thing was truly emotionless. It was neither benevolent nor unjust, neither kind nor evil. It operated according to its own rules of order, and it wouldn't communicate with others. It wouldn't be like the young man of heaven's will in the human world, whose incarnation could still chat with others. Even the heavenly will of the immortal world would occasionally transform into an immortal official to communicate with those with important fortunes and destiny. However, the heavenly will of the 3D universe was different. It would not change at all, nor would it interfere with the operation. It allowed the black holes to devour the stars and the star fields to pull each other. However, powerful existences with emotions were not allowed to enter. This was the strength of the third dimension universe's heaven's will. It was truly emotionless, cold, and heartless, treating all living things like dogs. However, Jiang Li knew that the third dimension universe's heaven's will would also reincarnate because the situation wasn't right. That would also be the beginning of danger. At that time, the heavens would no longer be the heavens, and it would be the beginning of a great revolution in the myriad worlds. Hence, he had to make use of this opportunity to reap some benefit. Finally feeling the third dimension universe's heaven's will, Jiang Li began to offer sacrifices in an attempt to obtain the ancient power. As expected, the third dimension universe's heaven's will received his sacrifice. With a slight tremble, a ray of light appeared in the air and entered the depths of his soul. Within this ray of light, an endless Milky Way appeared. It was vast and mighty, like the long river of time. The sand of light flowed everywhere, seeping into every thought in the depths of his soul. Jiang Li felt time passing. His will roamed to the source of time, and under the torrent, he reached the end of time. He was watching the destruction of heaven and earth, and watching the birth of heaven and earth. His spiritual will was growing rapidly. With a final tremble, another 10 nomological laws in his body turned into 100 million runes. As for the others, they also received the blessings of the third dimension universe's heaven's will. Everyone's psychic power improved by leaps and bounds. It's time quintessence. We sacrifice true God-level primal chaos beasts to give the third dimension universe's heaven's will. It's really generous to give us time quintessence. The god of sleep exclaimed. That light, that sand of time, is time quintessence. It's the age of heaven and earth. It's something even the immortal world's heavens will can't bestow upon us. If we sacrifice true God-level primal chaos beasts, then what would we get if we sacrificed ancestor God-level primal chaos beasts, or even celestial-level primal chaos beasts? Time quintessence is really good stuff. I've only seen it in legends. It's something that ancient powerhouses used to travel to the past and the future. In the depths of the river of time, they extracted the rolling sands of time and refined them into time quintessence. Just a drop can extend a god's lifespan, and it can even temper one's psyche to the point where it can withstand the corrosion of time. Jiang Li savored it. But we just sacrificed a few true God-level primal chaos beasts, and that's far from enough. That's why we only got a little bit of time quintessence. It's not going to give us any substantial improvement. Don't underestimate true gods. They're extremely powerful existences in the myriad worlds, the Desolation God said. The Desolation God said, not to mention a true god, even a saint can obtain great benefits by sacrificing one. Jiang Li nodded. Back then, Jiang Nailan had sacrificed a saint to summon the martial world's heaven's will. She'd been practically invincible. In the human world, saints were the absolute upper echelons. But he'd set his sights too high, and didn't think much of saints. But in the eyes of many, saints were a dividing line. Those who weren't saints were basically cannon fodder. Once they became saints, their psyche would manifest, and they could do all sorts of unimaginable things in the universe. Sacrificing saints was extravagant, but sacrificing gods was an absolute great sacrifice. Right now, Jiang Li's group of 5 had joined forces and turned into countless bright lights, subduing true gods in the most dangerous place in the 3D universe. This was actually something only emperors could do. In other words, Jiang Li stood at the peak of the myriad worlds in the universe, and that's why he'd set his sights higher. Come, let's not talk about this. Let's continue to capture the true God-level primal chaos beast. Don't alarm the other primal chaos beasts, and take it slow. There's no rush. It's better to be safe than sorry. Although Jiang Li's cultivation had improved greatly, he'd become even more careful. If they didn't act blindly without thinking and slowly operated here, the 5 of them would be able to gain a lot of benefit. In fact, it was even more convenient for them to gain benefits here than emperors. First, emperors had to sign a contract with the 3D universe's heaven's will, and they might not even get a response. It should be known that the more powerful an existence was, the harder it was to survive in the 3D universe. True gods had to be sacrificed to other true gods, and emperors had to be sacrificed. But now, the 5 of them weren't emperors. Jiang Li was still the soul of the myriad world celestial sphere, and he didn't even have 3 great Daos. He wasn't an enemy of the 3D universe, and he was even favored by the 3D universe's heaven's will. So here, the 5 of them were even more useful than emperors. Sizzle, 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 another true god-level primal chaos beast in the shape of a cow entered the light without a sound. It stayed in the space it had created. According to the ancient records, this primal chaos beast was called the Kuei cow. It was extremely ferocious and licentious, but its skin could be made into a drum, and it could be used in wars to boost morale and get rid of demons. Although it wasn't as good as the Western Emperor drum, it could still affect part of the war in a great world. In the space created by the Kuei cow there were female primal chaos beasts everywhere, and they gave birth to many small primal beasts. Some of these primal beasts were sages, some were experts with dozens of great Daos, and some were even experts with hundreds of great Daos. It had developed into a monster empire. But now, it had been wiped out along with the monster empire. As expected, the Kuei cow is so licentious. It actually captured so many primal chaos primal beasts and gave birth to descendants. Jiang Li smiled, and then went to capture the next one. He captured more than 10 Kuei cows in a row, which was equivalent to capturing more than 10 monster god kingdoms. Demonic aura flourished. Although this place was dangerous, it was like a land blessed by the gods for the 5 of them. How carefree! The desolation god was grinning from ear to ear. We're basically picking up gods to sacrifice here. There's no other place with as much wealth as here. Don't let your guard down, the god of sleep said. We're risking our lives to steal wealth. If we get caught, we won't even be able to get away. We need to be even more careful with the next sacrifice. There are 18 true god-level Kuei here, Hua Immortal Slayer said. There are also plenty of primal chaos primal beasts and their offspring. If we sacrifice them, we'll be able to absorb the quintessence of time. I feel like I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. In fact, I might even be able to combine 4 Daos, like Luo Feng's 3 Daos combined. I might be able to combine the Daos of immortal slaying, immortal severing, immortal slaying, and create a Tao of immortal slaying that's comparable to the great Tao of fate. They had all acquired the profundities of Jiang Li's boundless Tao, and were inspired to combine the 4 Daos into something comparable to the great Tao of fate. Considering the wisdom of the reincarnated great Emperor Immortal Slayer, he might actually be able to do it. That was especially true considering that Jiang Li had imparted the memories of the 5 emperors to him. It's no wonder I shared the boundless Tao with you, Jiang Li said. Alright, let's start the sacrifice. 18 Kuei oxen, 18 true god-level primordial beasts, plus their demon kingdom, countless great Daos and sage demon beast descendants, were all sacrificed to the 3-dimensional will of the universe. Because Jiang Li had previously communicated with the 3rd dimension universe's heaven's will, the sacrifice this time went very smoothly. In the moment of the sacrifice, time quintessence poured down like a waterfall. Chapter 785. The age essence was indeed a good thing. It was extracted from the boundless river of time. It could stimulate one's body and soul. Even great emperors needed it. It could be said that even the master of the immortal tower and the master of the universe's brain would not be so extravagant as to sacrifice true gods. How could there be so many true gods in this world? Only this place was an exception. It was the nest of the chaos ancient beasts, the site of the chaos explosion. It was an extremely dangerous place that even great emperors would not dare to enter. The five of them worked together, using all kinds of abilities and the Tao of the infinite lamp to create a dream. This was not an ordinary dream. It surpassed the Soul Emperor's dream. It was the infinite dream. They captured ancient beasts and secretly sacrificed them, making them stronger and stronger. Of course, the one who benefited the most was Zhongli. He had continuously shared the power of dozens of true god ancient beasts, and his mind power had been greatly improved. Now that the age essence was pouring into his body, his soul fire was almost comparable to a heavenly venerable's. Continuous explosions. Another 20 nomological laws turned into 100 million runes. This meant that 90 nomological laws turned into 100 million runes. There were only 10 left. Once he succeeded, he would be comparable to the Fate Great Tao. He would become the king of the Great Tao, the king of kings. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Zhongli looked at the nomological laws in his body. As they revolved, he could even fight against heavenly venerables. He could fight against heavenly venerables with his own strength. His infinite Great Tao had reached great height. This time, it might not surpass the Fate Great Tao, but it could definitely be on par with the Fate Great Tao. Once the infinite Grand Tao and the Grand Tao of Destiny were on par, then as the creator, Zhang Li's strength wouldn't be as simple as cultivating one Grand Tao of Destiny. His strength would be equivalent to cultivating 10 Grand Taos at the very least. After all, the Fate Great Tao wasn't created by Wan Qianqiu. As for surpassing the Fate Great Tao, Zhongli knew that relying on sacrifices was useless. He needed a huge opportunity or a change in the infinite world. He needed to borrow the power of the universe's chaos to surpass it. Fate was the fate of the infinite world. Once the infinite worlds disappeared, or if the infinite worlds changed, there would be a chance to surpass it. First, I should be on par with the Fate Great Tao. Zhang Li secretly encouraged himself. This is really comfortable. The time essence is still a little sparse. My strength has already reached the peak of Heavenly Lord. Next, it's time to break through to Heavenly Emperor. The god of sleep said, however, it's not that easy to break through to the great Emperor realm. It seems to have treasures as well. That's right. Zhongli looked over to see a god kingdom off in the distance, within which sat a humanoid primal chaos elder beast. It was a middle-aged man with horns, fangs, and a blood-colored cape. He almost looked like a vampire. That's right, Zhongli said, looking at Zhongli and the others. That's a primal chaos blood beast, Luofeng said. They're the ancestors of vampires, and they feed on blood. The master of the blood world is a descendant of them. He's a blood fiend grand emperor, and he controls a supreme treasure called the Heavenly Blood Pool. Once it appears, it can turn anything into pus and blood. It can even melt people. This primal chaos blood beast is very strong. He's a heavenly lord and a peak one at that. Even if the 5 of us work together, we might not be able to kill him. He'll have a chance to fight back. I think it's best if we don't take the risk. It's dangerous, but we can try. Sleeping God didn't care. Then let's try. We can't improve without a challenge. Even if we capture other gods and sacrifice them, we won't improve much. Zhang Li didn't care. Alright, then let's invade his god kingdom and control him. Then we sacrifice him. So what if he's a heavenly lord? Didn't we still kill a heavenly god? And now we're 10 times stronger than when we killed one. Even if an emperor comes, we might not be killed. Sleeping God said, "Let's attack together." Jiangli activated his power and floated out. Infinity light invaded the primal chaos blood demon's god kingdom. Jiang Li's cultivation was proficient in the secrets of the bug race. The bug race was proficient in invasion, and the Heart Emperor's dream seal was also proficient in invasion. The combination of the two created the Infinity Great Tao and Infinity Light. After invading the god kingdom, the primal chaos blood demon didn't react. He didn't have any descendants in his god kingdom, but there was a pool of blood that was filled with corpses and blood. There were even some skeletons. Suddenly, the primal chaos blood demon opened its eyes, and blood-colored light shot out to attack the surrounding primal chaos elder devils. A huge blood-colored net formed in the air and spread out, capturing many primal chaos elder devils. The equivalent of hundreds of great Daos were all sucked into the net. Even more elder fiends began to flee in all directions. Some true god and ancestor god level elder fiends also fled far away. In this primal chaos ancient beast stellar field, Empyrean level beasts were the rulers. At the very least, Jiangli hadn't seen any Emperor Elder Devils yet. If an Emperor Elder Devil beast appeared, Jiangli would have no choice but to flee. Empyrean level beasts occupied a large stellar field, and would occasionally hunt other beasts. Ordinary beasts wouldn't band together to deal with them. This was very strange. If an outsider entered, the primal chaos beasts would band together and attack. Chapter 786. The Zenith Decree far surpassed the essence of time. It was something that only existed in ancient legends. In the legends of Earth, there were the Taoist 36 heavens, the highest of which was called the Zenith Heaven, traversing space and time, eternally free. This was the Zenith Heaven. The Zenith Decree couldn't be obtained even by sacrificing the immortal world's will. Only by sacrificing a celestial to the third universe's will would one be able to obtain the Zenith Decree. Just one Zenith Decree could allow one to traverse space and time, eternally free, and change the composition of one's body and soul, increasing one's cultivation by leaps and bounds. Jiangli fused the Zenith Decree into his body in the blink of an eye. The runes in his body started transforming, and the last 9 laws turned into 100 million runes. His infinite Grand Tao now had 99 laws, all of which turned into 100 million runes, just like Luo Feng. In other words, he was only 1 rune away from being able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Grand Tao of Destiny. Moreover, it couldn't be mentioned in the same breath as Luo Feng's Grand Tao of Destiny. Luo Feng's Grand Tao of Destiny was the king of 3 Grand Taos, while Jiangli had created it himself. In terms of comprehension of the Grand Tao, Luo Feng couldn't catch up to Jiangli. Sacrificing a celestial was a huge matter even in the era of the 5 sovereigns. Only the primal chaos ritual would do such a thing. Now that Jiang Li's group of 5 was doing it, they were all focused, not daring to make the slightest mistake. But now, everyone's hard work had paid off. Luofeng's body trembled. The second incarnation condensed into form, and it was exactly the same as her own. It also had 3 great Daos, 99 natural laws, and 100 million runes. It was purely a duplicate, and it could communicate with her own thoughts. In other words, she now had twice the combat strength. The clone that looked exactly like her was Hua Immortal Slayer. Hua Immortal Slayer also had 2 more people. The 4 Grand Daos combined into one, and killing intent soared to the sky. As for Sleeping God and Desolate God, they didn't become sovereigns. They couldn't borrow external power, but they were accumulating power in secret. If they couldn't become sovereigns, they could rely on Jiang Li's infinite cloning Tao to refine an avatar that looked exactly like them. Out-of-body avatars were simple, but to have an exact copy of themselves, with the same Grand Tao and Godhead, was even more difficult. This was especially true for Desolate God and Sleeping God. Their cultivation was peerless. Cloning an avatar wasn't as simple as sacrificing it. Of course, if Huang Xiaolong could capture a few Chaos Blood Devil Heavenly Venerables as sacrificial offerings, then duplicating an Empyrean's godhead would be a piece of cake. Good, my strength has doubled. The decree of the origin immortal really is the legendary ageless power. There are 108 volumes in total. The first 36 are for the Big Dipper, and the second 72 are for the Fiend. Rumor has it that if you collect all of them, you can learn the power of indestructibility. And now this Chaos Heaven Devil has won. After the explosion of the undying magic lamp, the indestructible scripture was scattered. I know that a Grand Emperor in the immortal world obtained a few of them, but they were lost later on. But I also know that the brain of the universe and the imperishable tower have quite a few of them. Luo Feng knew the secrets of the indestructible scripture. As for the Chaos Heaven Devil, it was a wriggling shadow. No one knew what it was doing, but when the 5 of them focused their minds, they saw that the shadow was actually wrapped around a head. The head was dignified, and emitted the aura of a Grand Emperor. The head of a Grand Emperor! The 5 of them were shocked. After a Grand Emperor died, his head was obtained by this Chaos Heaven Devil, and he wanted to refine it into his own treasure. I wonder which Grand Emperor it is? Jiang Li stared at the head of the Great Emperor. It was incomparably majestic. His eyes were wide open and his heart trembled. Even in death, he still looked majestic. Back in the day, there were many Grand Emperors in the undying magic lamp, said Hua Immortal Slayer. They all participated in the project to study the everlasting well. They wanted to pour primal chaos Palea energy into the world, which attracted the best of the best. But then the explosion of primal chaos enraged the Grand Emperors, and they all fell. As long as you have a good project, it's easy to attract people, but you have to be careful not to fall. For example, the human world is starting to flourish, but we have to nip it in the bud. The human world isn't flourishing. It's just struggling to survive. Jiang Li said. They don't have a lot of experts, and they can't compare to the undying magic lamp. But let's not hesitate any longer. Let's subdue these 3 celestial primal chaos beasts. Which one do we start with? Luo Feng knew that each of the 3 celestial primal chaos beasts had their own value. Primal chaos heaven devils, said Jiang Li. They're the strongest. We'll subdue them, then suppress them in other ways. Sacrificing them one by one won't be very effective. First we'll capture the 3 celestial primal chaos beasts, then we'll capture some elder gods and true gods. That's because I can sense how dangerous it will be. I might as well harden my heart and use my limitless Tao to reach the Great Circle. Then I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with the Great Tao of Fate. That's no small matter. Are you sure you want to do it? Asked Luo Feng. Of course. I don't have enough power to surpass the Great Tao of Fate. But I think I have enough wisdom and divine abilities to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Great Tao of Fate.